What up, friends? Make sure everything's working right because you know how Nikki, how you doing? Nikki, and Nickers, Nikki. We need one more Nick in here. Can we get one more Nick in here, please? How's it going? Easy, how we doing? Can you hear me? Everything works. Sorry, I've got chat in two different places, so I'm kind of trying to manage it. I also don't have a lot of desk space right now, so it's kind of a pain in the ass doing this this way. Nicole, sorry. One of the hard things about doing these is my setup is all on the other side of the room, and it's all set up to DJ. It's not really set up to run my Mac. Podcast, yeah, it'll be in my VODs. The only thing is, I did one of these before, and I set the VOD to record, and it record. I mean, I set the VOD to say persistent, so it didn't expire, and it did expire. So I don't know why there was no music in it, but I did have about a dozen, probably a dozen and a half people hit me up over the last 6 months or so, hey man, what happened to that? I'm like, I don't know what happened, man. People asked me if I was going to save it. I'm going to save it. So I am going to save this so you guys can come back and reference it. I'm going to try not to be long-winded because I feel like when somebody wants to watch this later down the road, they don't have to sit through, the jargon, the banter, my 2 cents. So we're going to try to move relatively quick through this and accurate. Hey, Joe, how we doing, man? Good to see you, bro. And everything should be working on my stream. I should probably shut one thing off. Yeah, see, that's working. That's good. I do have a channel point that I do not want anybody to fire off while this is happening. So I will just shut that off. I will shut that off. Everything else can stay. I also I finally fixed my my shout out. So that's working now too. Although I don't know if I have it set up for mods. I think it's just set up for me at the moment. Let's just give it a test. I haven't done it on stream yet. Oh, I need to open. I know what I need to open. You know what's funny is I haven't streamed in 10 days. Super busy week, super busy time for me. Celtics are in the playoff. Bruins are hitting the end of the season. There's a lot of springtime events. We just had the marathon, so it's been a relatively crazy time for me, DJ wise, which is good. I'm not complaining, but yeah, it took a lot out of me life wise, and I was just beat. So let's do. I don't know. Actually, probably let's. Even though he might not be here, maybe he is here. I know he has VODs though, so let's shut out Fader and see if it works. It should work. I don't see why it does. Is it not? It doesn't look. Did I not put it on the scene? Okay, maybe it's not working. I'm ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. Anywho, all right. So what we're here for? We are gonna get into Mixed Emergency, starting with the day one stuff. If you've never heard of or seen Mixed Emergency, it is a Mac only for the moment anyways, and for the foreseeable future video DJ solution that, while on its base model is primarily made for video DJing alongside of Serato, it can be used as a standalone player or standalone video sampler. I've used it to just run visuals for weddings where they're like, hey, we want, some videos that we have played during, the speeches, or they have, some of them I've gone as far as making, they're like, oh, we have a bunch of pictures. We're going to send you a slideshow. And they send me that horrible, Microsoft slideshow, that whatever program software it is, it's just, they slide, they're horrible. And I'm like, you know what? I'll dump this into Premiere and I'll throw a couple of transitions on it, and then I'll render it out as a file, and then I can play music behind it and I can use things like the sequencer to give the effects a little bit of pop. So when the music's playing and their pictures are rolling through, they're actually like snapping to the music and stuff. And most people that I've done that for, I do charge them a little bit extra. Well, I charge them a fair amount extra, but just the fact that like their little slideshow is like going to the music and everything is pretty amazing. And I would argue that that is probably the the feature that most people who've never seen Mixed Emergency kind of gravitate towards. They see that your videos aren't just playing, but they're actually going to the music, whether it be through transitions or you've built things into your presets or effects. So everything is kind of snapping. And it's probably what separates just video playback from making it a more immersive experience. As I mentioned before, it is Mac only. And if you're on the PC side, you're probably better off using Virtual DJ because Serato Video is crap. If you're using Serato Video, I don't know what to tell you. It's so horrible. Sorry, I'm just looking at my shout out here to see why it's not working. It's weird. Oh wait, did I give it? Hey, Fader! I just shouted you out and it didn't work. I gotta see if maybe I gave the shout out a different command. Maybe that's why it didn't work. We'll try it again. We're not here testing things, but I do. It is one of those things where I get aggravated. Triggers is exclamation point shout out, and it's mod ready. So exclamation point shout out, whatever the name is. So I did. Let's try it again. It worked the other day when I did it, so I'm gonna try it again just to see if it works the second time. Yeah, obviously that part worked, but the on-screen part. Oh, there we go. There it is. There's the new shout out. I remember that. It works. It's pretty simple. We did the picture thing, we did the name thing, we did the sweep in and sweep out. So, all right, so let's get into this. We've talked about what Mixed Emergency is. If you have questions at any time, I implore you to use like the exclamation point ask thing so it'll catch my eye. Otherwise, yeah, I did. So yeah, if you're a mod, you can use the shout out command. Thanks again for the fader. Thanks again for the fader sub. I'm all backwards. I'm all bizarro right now. Thanks, bro. 19 months, Jesus. I feel bad because I had to there was a time during the pandemic where I had to like cancel all my subs because like money was tight. So all my like 24-month and 19-month subs are all like 8 months and shit. So all right, moving forward. As we talked about before, I'll see that should work for you, right? There we go. As we talked about briefly here, if you're on the PC side, you are better off going with Virtual DJ. There is also Record Box Video, which I don't think they've done an update in quite some time. And then, of course, there's always the option of using like a proper VJ software. And I use the term proper is in the sense that it's designed for visuals and stuff like that. Although most video software included, Mixed Emergency included, allows you to route these things into Arena or another video software, so you can send your output to them, and then there you can add more stuff. So the limitations are really limited only by your imagination, right? Yeah, that makes sense. But let's get into it. I made this screen size a little weird. I know it looks a little bizarre with this weird line right here, but the Mac native output is actually shorter, or it's narrower than the 1080 by 1280, 1080 by 1280. So that's why we have that little thing here. I'd rather that than have us. One of my biggest pet peeves is stretched shit. I'd rather have it be small and have it be the right aspect ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. Make sure you're at full screen. Also, if you're watching on something and you can't see the text, if you go down to the little gear on the bottom of your screen in the corner there, You should be able to change the quality to something higher so you can see it. Hopefully when you have this blown up on a monitor at home or, on your phone, you should be able to read these text. But I am going to explain everything. And we're going to start with the most simple thing, and it's something that I field quite a bit, and that's plugging in an HDMI cable. Now, there's a piece of software out there I use, and you guys will be able to see it here in a second. It's called, let me just make this big, Display Menu. Display Menu, you have to search for on Google, and it'll point you to their page. They haven't updated in quite a while, but it still works. It gives the main thing that this is amazing for. It gives you the mirror. Let me use this mouse here because it's yellow and you guys should be able. Can you see it? No, you can't see it. It gives you the mirror option right here, and it gives you low fidelity resolutions, which doesn't necessarily mean what it says. Now, if you look at all the resolutions that pop up on this, oh, that's weird. It put out 16. That's why. Okay, hold on. We're gonna fix this real quick. We're gonna change that resolution. I didn't even think to look at that. So hold on. I might be able to just get rid of that that issue there. Oh no, it's still a weird. Yeah, it's still the same. It says it's that, but it's not. Display Menu. I think it's like $1. It's an insanely inexpensive app. But when you get to a venue and you're plugging into a sound system, and this is part of selling yourself as a video DJ to a venue. When you go into a venue that doesn't do video and you're like, hey, I'll just bring my Mac and I'll just plug in. And when you plug in and when it doesn't work and you're sit there going, let me call somebody. Let me think. That's when the manager starts to lose faith and what you're, oh, I see why it's 16 by 10. Okay, so this is a perfect example. Sorry, I was just looking at this. If you look right here, it's giving me 16 by 10. If I go down here, 16 by 9 at 60, we'll switch it to that, and that should, yes. Now I should be able to just slide that over. Sorry, I just noticed that. I never plugged this into another, oh no, it's still 16 by 10. That is not 16 by 9. Ah, whatever. Let's not focus on that. And I'm not stretching it. Not my style. And you can't get onto their system. Like they have a matrix, or they have a plug in the wall for like when the local company comes to do their Friday afternoon, like sales meeting, they allow them to plug in and get to their screens and show their, company logo on the walls and stuff. And you plug in and you can't get anything. You're like, Jesus Christ, like I can't get to pick up. Having this app allows you to run through some relatively obscure resolutions. And why that's important is because sometimes, as you can see here, this is all 60 and 50 hertz because I'm going into a capture card. But when you get into some places, you start seeing 75 and all these other weird refresh rates. And sometimes you end up landing on one that in your mind shouldn't work, and it will. So when you pull up and you're like, hey man, I want to do video at your venue. You get all these TVs, you plug in, it doesn't connect. You make sure you have Display Menu, and then you just start going through these. And if you'll see it right here, as you see right here, it says VG 279, like it'll show up there. And if you see it there, that means you should be good to go. So having Display Menu is important. And if you've never video DJ'd before, 90% of us, and I wouldn't say 95% of us, are on a Mac that has HDMI out. Hardly any of us are running things that have, what was it called? VGA. Remember the VGA adapters? The Mac to VGA. I haven't seen one of those in quite a while. And to be honest, video is really in HD right now. Like there was a time when we were like, oh my God, we're moving to HD. You can't use your pre-unibody Mac anymore. I'm running 1080p dual videos. All my overlays are mostly 1080p or 720p. So in a hot environment, even my GPU, and that was a 2015, I'll show you guys real quick. I have a 2015 i7. I'm running Mojave with the 2 gig AMD card in it. So, in the 1.5 Intel. So this was like the really expensive. Eddie, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you, man. Welcome. This is the nicer of the 2015 MacBook Pros, or they would say the dual video card. And still, if it's 85 degrees and I'm doing video, it's hot. I have to put a fan on it. So if you're getting into video and you're still running like a 2011 or 2012, what you might have to do is drop your quality. So having said that, let's go into the Mix Emergency menus and start at the beginning. And basically, I'm going to talk through them. And if we get to a point where you have a question about one, or you need more explanation, just hit the chat, let me know, and we will break it down. We're going to start with the menus first, and then we're going to get into the elements of the actual software. And as I said, there are some guys in here. Nick is he is Mix Emergency, and he's in here. So if there's something I can't answer, he certainly can, because he created this. And if you're not aware, or you're wondering how or why this is a thing, and Nick, you can jump in and correct me on this. When Serato video was a thing, Nick was working with that, and then he went off his own and made the Mix Emergency plugin, which was supported by Serato as a default, not default, by a third-party plugin that was supported by the app. And he really pushed the envelope beyond the bursting point, and all of us video DJs tried to, just like Jesus Christ. I switched from PC to Mac in 2008, because before that, the only way to do video was with a ballsy PC running Serato video. And man, I saw Eloy for the first time. He came to me and was like, "Yo, check this out." And I'm like, "That's it. I'm buying a Mac. I'm making a switch." It was that impressive. And since then, it's only blown up even more. But more importantly, the biggest thing, I know we talk about bells and whistles and all these extras that a lot of people don't even touch. At its core, it's lighter, it's faster, and its quality output is just leaps and bounds above Serato Video. So does it really? So did people have Mix Emergency before Video SL was even a thing outside of New Zealand? So safe to say, most video DJs that are on a Mac are using Mix Emergency. If you're not, it's probably just because maybe you're not doing it too much. Maybe the amount is a little staggering to you, which it's dirt cheap. And more importantly, in the realm of software, I don't think I know anybody who's never gotten a piece of software that's cracked or hacked or whatever. But Mix Emergency is one dude. He's one guy. He's not a corporation. He's not, Twitter, or he's no Elon Musk. So I implore you, if you know somebody that is trying bootleg ways to get the software to work, just fucking buy it. Just buy it. It's money so well spent, and it's supporting the community, and it's supporting innovation in the software. So if you want more stuff and you want continual streamlining and the ability for Mix Emergency to be ready for an OS before even Serato is, you got to take care of our boy. So make sure, if you're not already using a proper version, make sure you are. And it's important. And it's important to us because the video DJ community is small, and we need guys like Nick behind the scenes pulling the levers and making us look pretty. All right, so moving forward, we have our About thing that tells you what version you're using. It tells you where some of these codes come from. And you can see right here, I don't know if you guys are supposed to see that I'm using that version, but whatever. You got to purchase, you got to authorize. They did put an authorization in it, which helps keep it a little bit more above boards with as far as piracy and stuff, which is great. Like I said, please, if there's one thing you take away from this, is that this is a small mom and pop brick and mortar thing. Don't look at it like Adobe, like, oh, I'm going to crack the shit out of it because they have a ton of money. Don't do that, please. Don't worry about edit so much. Windows, this gives you all the windows, and if you ever get lost and you lose a window, you can kind of come through here and just toggle them on and off, and you'll find your way back. That's not terribly difficult. And of course, there's a bring all to front. There's another thing that kind of works with that. Most people are aware of the thumbtack, which we'll get into later. Recording, man, I gotta tell you guys, if you've never recorded a video set, I know a lot of us are running. Hey, R2PDX, thank you for the follow, man. Appreciate that. If you've never used Mix Emergency to record, I know a lot of us get nervous about recording like during live sets because you think it's going to put a lot of stress on your computer. The way this records, it really doesn't. It records your movements and everything, and then when you export it, it basically reproduces them in real time. So the exporting of a mix takes a while. Not going to lie. Do it at night, set it before you go to bed, and maybe it'll be done when you wake up. But it's super easy to use. It's super intuitive. And now that Mixed Emergency and Serato, hold on, let me just, now that Serato has their out thing, you should have no problem changing this to, well, I don't have it open right now, but I guess I should probably open Serato. You can go in, once I get this open, and tell it to send the audio to other app, make available. Well, I haven't done this part yet, but you can send it right into Mixed Emergency and record it. Although, and you guys probably remember, you used to have to like pick your channels. So you can actually go into whatever device you're using and pick the channels, and 5 and 6 were what the audio was from this, as you can see here, the 72. And you would record it, and then you would encode it, and when it encoded it, it did everything. So when you were playing, you didn't have to worry about like, oh my God, I'm recording, it's killing my CPU, it's killing my GPU, whatever. It didn't happen. As we said before, Mixed Emergency is super lightweight, so you really don't have to worry too much about it crushing. Like, you look at my CPU in Serato here, like, it's barely a tick mark, barely. So, and I know I don't have any videos loaded right now, but just to give you an idea. So let's get back into Emmy. We are going to keep pushing forward. Let's get into the preferences. This is where a lot of people kind of answer a lot of questions about this part. Most people do like the multiple view preview window. If you get it initially, it doesn't come in this set by default. It's set in single, which means your preview window, your left window, your right window, and your output window, if you have them all on, are going to be in one window. Some people like this, some people don't. I think most of us saw the multiple window preview as one of the first things that pulled us in. Like, how do you separate your videos like this? Like, it was huge. Opacity, obviously self-explanatory. Now, Nick might have a little bit more insight on this. I know in the past, I've never experienced this because, as you can see, I don't drop the opacity on anything. But I did read somewhere years ago that one of the hardest things for computers to process is opacity and layers. So I kind of always in my head felt just like either turn it all the way up or turn it off. Don't do 50%, because then your GPU has to figure out, that percentage and then blend those videos together. And this is just the GPU, so why would you do that to yourself? Disable conflicting shortcuts is always a good one. Auto hide menu bar and dock. I leave that on. It makes things a lot easier. Automatically load and save effects. I mean, these are kind of by default things, pretty self-explanatory. Now, what I said earlier, if you're running into a situation where you have like a 2013 MacBook Pro, like a i7 or i5 with a smaller GPU in it, and you're trying to run video and your Mac is just sweating, you can take your quality slider, bring it down a couple ticks, and just keep feathering it down until you find a place where it's working for you. The thing is there's no magic trick to get a 512 megabyte GPU to handle 1080p videos playing at the same time with effects and overlays. And if you're trying to use, hey Stenny, what's good, man? You're trying to use all the elements of this, pretty forward thinking software, but your computer isn't we're talking about 2012. That's a 10-year-old computer now. So I always felt like the shelf life of a MacBook Pro is about 7 years. As far as doing stuff like this, if you're just playing music, then you could probably even use like a 2008 and get away with it. Um, but if you do encounter those things, you come in here to your output, scale your quality down. It might help. It's pretty much all you're going to do until you can get your hands on at least the 2015. I'm not saying it's a must, but it's a good idea. Anti-aliasing, I've never had that on. Frame blending, I've always, from my days of video editing, I've always kept that off. Full screen on startup, this is kind of a stupid thing, but if you've ever shut down or pulled your HDMI, and then Mixed Emergency will come back to this window and be full screen. You can double tap to get out of it. But I like this because what this means is you plug into another monitor, you don't have to take your playback screen, which is this one, your output screen, and drag it over and double click on it to get full screen. Although that being said, one of the cool tricks that I used to do on my older Mac is my second screen background was actually a color wheel with a native screen, 16:9, 1080p. I forget what they call those things. It lets you know if there's a circle in the middle. So if your circle's a little wonky, you know that your aspect ratio is wrong. And I used to have that up, and then that would give me some idea of how weird the converter is on the screen. Or like back in the days when we used to run some of the old scan converters, someone would just go wily on the buttons and then have your resolution to like 1901 by 1000, and you're like, well, why am I only occupying like 80% of the screen and I got a black bar like this? And it's because you had to go over and start messing with the scan converter to get it to like a native resolution, and you would never know that unless you have one of those 1080p background that you can reference. So it's not a bad trick. I should start doing that again. I haven't, because since we moved to HDMI and everything's HD, almost every TV I've ever run into has been 16:9. I haven't run into too many other things. And scan converters have all become sort of adaptive. So you plug in and they just see what you're doing. They're not like, I see 1980 by 1920 by 1080, but we're gonna put this at some weird 4:3 rate. It doesn't happen anymore. But flip horizontal and flip vertical. Self-explanatory. If you end up on a projector and for whatever reason the projector doesn't have those things, you can use those things to get your video upside right, because a lot of people fly projectors upside down. You can also flip it backwards, so if you're rear projecting, etc., etc. I leave the custom color on, and it's just because I feel like a lot of things pop a little better with an extra 10% of saturation, and the blacks are a little bit flat black. Cody, what's good, man? Welcome, bro. I feel like having the contrast a little higher makes your blacks a little flatter, especially when you're on a projector. Ninjak, 12 months. Thanks, bro. How are you, dude? Good to see you, man. I feel like I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks. Which also brings us to the advanced output. This is kind of, for lack of better terms, advanced. But if you do end up in a situation where, let me just throw a random video in here real quick. Let me find something that's kind of full screen. Sorry. We'll throw this in there. Oh, I gotta throw in a Mixed Emergency. I mean, in Serato. Hold on. I'm just gonna loop up a song because I don't want to get a I don't want this to come down for copyright. So I am just going to put this in eternal mode and just play this. And that is a bad loop. I apologize ahead of time. Let me bring that back. And we're just gonna play that. I'm just gonna turn it way down. Oh, we're not even getting it. Okay, that's good. It's good that we're not getting it. Close this out real quick. Oh, that's bizarre. I have it set to automatically drop videos, but it apparently didn't want to that time. I might have turned it off. Let's go to movies, and I have newer ones. I just want to grab something I know is full screen. We want to hear. There we go. There we go. We'll use one of my Ghibli, my Studio Ghibli ones. Boom. Oh, fader's down. That's why. Don't worry, I'll turn this down. All right. So, you're playing a video, and like I said, you're in a situation where you're on a screen that isn't the video isn't filling the screen properly, or you're trying to do like a poor man's projector mapping. Your projector is coming at an angle, and the keystoning on the projector isn't enough. So you go into the advanced output, and you can actually grab these corners and pull them into like a 3D space, which the output will look like this. So if you're like projecting onto a wall, or you want to give the illusion that you're projecting onto a wall, you can do something like that. Or, like I said, if you're in a situation where they have some old ass scan converter and your videos are cutting off, like say this bottom quarter inch and this top quarter inch, and you're like, like me, you put your logo. Oh, I didn't want that. You put your logo down in the corner here, and it's cutting it off. I'm going to change this. This is a little off. I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit. This is a 1920 by 1080 video, so I shouldn't be getting any of the fixed pixel border thingy. A little more. A little more. There we go. So it's cutting that off. So what I can do is I can actually pull this in on all four of the corners like that. So my projector or my TV or whatever is now filling their TV. Hey, Wraith, Silver Screen, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Yeah, Cody just said the same thing. Sorry I missed that. Why am I not seeing that here? I just saw you write it. Oh, I guess I gotta scroll down. Quest 2 Tier 1 gifteds. Thanks, bro. I just realized that you did that. Sorry, man. I got a lot of things happening at once. So yeah, so if you're in a projector situation, which I think we're getting away from projectors nowadays, or you're getting into more creative ways of having your stuff projected onto walls, or cakes or whatever, or you have a pillar and you should want to get the video onto a pillar and it's shooting past it, you can pull this in like this, even though it's obviously going to jack up the what's it called, the help me out here, the word. It's gonna jack up the proper aspect ratio. But in a situation where you get to a venue and they're like, oh, can you project onto that pole right there? Like they have a big, like 5 foot wide pole that goes in the middle of the dance floor. It's like, oh, you know what? If I just shoot at that, it's going to hit that, and you're only going to get the center of the video, and the other, 500 pixels on each side or 300 pixels on each side are just going to blast through it, and you're not going to see anything. You can come in here and you can adjust that to do that. And of course, like I said, you can also tell it if you have a keystoning issue. You can actually keystone with this, for lack of better terms. So that is, and you can obviously save it. So if you have a venue and you're like, all right, I know every time I'm here, this is the one I need to go to. So that is the advanced output. I've used it 3 or 4 times and it's really helped me out. Preview, I keep these on low, just because I feel like the more things that you can minimize on your screen, I don't need to see these previews in high resolution. And I keep them at aspect ratio none so I can resize them. When I have Serato open, I use the prepare box. They fit right in my prepare box. And then I have my output down the bottom left-hand corner, as you see down here. That way, I don't really need to see my videos too much. It's nice. It's a plus. But usually there's a TV and eye shot so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right, let's move on to the next little piece here. Transitions. Obviously, smooth fader will make the transitions a little less aggressive when you're hammering the crossfader. When you're on random, and again, this is one of those elements of mixability that is arguably one of the things that keep it at the top of the heap. And that is the randomized transition. If you look here in this little control window, these are my transitions, but I keep it on random. And then there's a randomized like refresh button right here. If you map this onto something on your mixer, like for example, it's mapped on my 72 to like the Q headphone. DJ Mister, hi. Hello, welcome. If I mean, we'll talk about MIDI in a minute, but if you have extra buttons on your mixer or whatever, was that Nick's? It's good to know. JB, thank you for the follow, man, and for the sub. Appreciate that. Sub, follow, whatever. What's funny is when you're doing tutorials, you think harder than when you're DJing. So I apologize if I jack up some sort of thing here happening in the chat. All right, so moving forward. Transitions, you can actually take out ones you don't like, as you can see here. Like, I don't really like hold. I don't like center slides, comical. I don't like that. I don't like the strips, drain. Some of them are just, they're not for me. You know what I mean? Like, they're not bad. They're just not for me. And like, you don't want the Halloween one in there, like all the other days. Oh, it's Meister. Nice. The long Y got me. So yeah, you don't want to run the Halloween one during, 4th of July, whatever. So this allows you to deselect transitions that are provided from being in your random transition. Anthron, what's good, man? How's it going? That way, you like, one of the cool things about this, and when you're playing dance music or something, actually when you're playing hip hop too, but if you're a long mixer, if you're a blender, and you're not a like scratch and drop kind of person, or that's you're the part of your set where you're blending more than you're scratching and dropping and acapellaing and shit like that. Being able to change this transition like on measure, you know what I mean? So when you're playing 2 dance songs and you're gonna mix for 8 measures through that mix, you can actually use your kind of intuition, and every time you hit a new measure, you just tap this button and change your transition. So now when you're going from video 1 to video 2 over those 8 bars, you're now getting 8 different transitions on the video screen rather than just like maybe like a one, if you end up on, dissolve, when you're mixing 2 videos for, that long over dissolve early, I think that's a great effect. But later, like when you're trying to get energy, like having a sequence run or having one of your effects, your beat driven effects run, and then, making sure that every bar you come over and you just tap that button and it changes the transition. You don't want that transition to be Halloween. So you take it out. Auto fade, duration, and beats. Why do I have that selected? I don't use that. But I know some people do, and I feel like when you're doing something, say, corporate or polished, I feel like the auto fade is actually a really cool feature. I think Soren, DJ Neros, lives by it because there's a sort of ideology of when you're playing in a room and you get to like the zoom transition or one of the more active transitions like the spinning cube beat effects, which, you know, turns on beat every other video. That's kind of jarring if it's randomly, you know, if you're just slamming the fader back and forth, if you're like doing a little quick back and forth, it's kind of like, Jesus Christ, it just makes a video unintelligible. So if you use the auto fade, you can just, it just does it. And then of course you can hotkey it over, which is cool. Fader cut in, self-explanatory. I should actually move mine up. Now, one of the things that I run into, and Nick, while you're in here, it's probably a good thing. I actually play on 3 different pieces of gear every week, which is introduced, not problems, but things that I have to figure out. So I play on a 72, I play on a Rain 1, and I play on S11. Every week, at least one night, I'm playing on one of those pieces of gear. Some nights it's 2 nights on the S11. Some nights it's 2 nights on the Rain 1. But, you know, I play 3, 4, 5 nights, even 6 nights a week. And it's at different places, so I'm always using different gear, which means I can either use the MIDI commands and like shut off or load certain presets for MIDI. But if I was to like make a hotkey for this or make my fader cut in at this percentage, the faders behave differently across the board for these different mixers, even though you would think they're the same. I have an Innofader in my Rain 1, and I've got maybe 50 MIDI points, whereas I think on the Rain, I think I have like 300 or something. So it's a weird thing, and I think it's a problem only I encounter or other people that are constantly using different gear. So contour, obviously I should probably take this down a little bit. I have it set super fast. I'll try it in the middle. Maybe that might work. Faders, I like them super slow. Up faders, I in my mind, I've always been faders, up faders for mixing, crossfader or cutting. It's kind of just the ideology I've always had. I come from the rotary era. So again, in here, you can select and deselect so you don't see these across the board. Again, you can see I do not have the Halloween transition selected, meaning not only will it not show up in my random transitions, it will not show up in all my transitions. Now you're saying, well, why would you, if you have random, why even bother with these? Well, you can have those in your sequences, your presets, and then reference them later. So if there's like 5 you really like, you can like map them to 1, and then you can just use those 5. It's pretty dope. Effects, same thing. I don't think there's any effect I don't have that I won't play with a few times. Some of these are super intense, and some of them are just pretty standard fodder. Like, you know, brightness, contrast, saturation, hue, all those things are all pretty standard, like video editing, you know, you find those on your TV. But then, you know, there's beat effects in here, the panels, the spectrum panels. Yeah, there's some pretty intense ones. Distortion's another badass one. But the cool thing about these, and we'll get into this, is you can make all these snap to the music. So you want brightness to snap to the music? Done. It's super easy. We'll get into it. Let's go into advanced cache. This is something that I've always kind of, I don't want to say have problems. Maybe I should push my cache up. Nick, you could probably answer this while you're here. Right now, I think I'm at between 100 and a gig. So I'm probably at 500 maybe. Maybe I should have more. Maybe I should have less. I don't know. When I first started, I was screwing with that friggin' thing so much, and I ended up encountering issues. So I think I've just left it on default. Maybe somebody else in the chat here has a rule that they use for this. I've always left it there. It's always been good to me. Like I said, the only thing I run into is in super hot environments, my GPU goes through the roof. There's another way you can kind of see when you're encountering these issues. You can go in here. You can see right there, I had a low memory thing right there. So if you pull your messages up and you're having problems and you see this, maybe I should push this up a notch, you know. Oh, so yeah, there Nick, our resident developer, said it's more important in the older versions. More recently, it's fine to have lower. Yeah. So I mean, I think I'm at 500. So I thought it was like the math of um, the sizes of your files. You should have enough to run two of them. So if you're playing two 4-minute 1080p videos at 250 megabytes a piece, that's 500 megabytes, which means your cache should be 500. That's kind of where I landed on that, but I could be completely wrong. So don't take that as a rule, or that might just be the old ideology. Nick, is it weird to have watch somebody else like go through your software and try to explain it? When an unlinked audio file is loaded, meaning if you load an audio track, okay, there we go. It's not the files; it's the actual decoded video frames. Um, when an unlinked video files, so if you, and this is kind of leads us to another realm of this software. If you're just getting into, or you're thinking about getting into video, and you want to like, get the trial and mess around with it, but you don't have videos yet, you can tell this to do different things. You can tell it to do nothing. You can tell it eject the current media, which I really don't know why you do that. Load media from media bank, which is what I do, and or I tell album art. Why I don't. A lot of services don't even do album art anymore. They do their logo, which kind of sucks. You don't want to be playing a set and have DMS and Club Killers, or wherever you get your Eighth Wonder. Damn it, take it down. You don't want that shit popping up in a set. So load media from bank or do nothing are probably the two best settings. Now, actually, maybe Nick, you could comment on this. GPU accelerated video, that's mostly for newer than 2013 MacBook Pros. Let me work the info window. Okay, I get you. So I'm just looking at this. Sorry. Even though I'm just running this is a 1080p video edit that I made. It's just a visual from like Ghibli Studios type stuff. Princess Mononoke and My Neighbor Totoro, stuff like that. They released like these little visual things, so that was kind of dope. So yeah, I have that on display video. You don't really need this. See these little boxes right here that are kind of like moving, look like they're moving in time. They're not just arbitrarily moving. Those actually are representing the beat grid in Serato. So it's important, actually, no, let me rephrase this. It's imperative that you have your beat grids in Serato properly done, or else either one, it won't work, or two, the effects won't be accurate. If you have a track that's 120 BPMs and for whatever reason the beat grid isn't right, they're at 90, this counter was going to read the beat grid that Serato does. So it's going to move at 90 BPMs, not 120. So it's important that you do make sure your beat grids are right. You drop down the cache size, that buffer values, and okay, we'll see. So do you think I should keep it here? I mean, this is always where I've been, but my buffer's at 147 and 48. But I think it's because I have nothing in the other side. So, um, let me throw something in the other deck. What's that moving? It's still moving. It's still moving backwards. What is going on? That's bizarre. So is it command? Um, Hold on. I have to pull up the tooltips on this. I always forget what the command is for that. Um, and of course it's blocking it. Does anybody know off the top of their head the tooltip to get that to play the other way? We're gonna find out. If you've ever had this happen where shit is playing backwards, you have to hit this command. Hold on. So S. So command S should send it forward. No. Right deck. A and S, right? Hold on. No, don't select all. It's been so long since I've had to do this. All right, get out of there. That's what I thought it was command. It's yeah, that's what I thought too. But That's pause. There we go. There we go. It's only happened to me a few times. I have the caps lock thing on, so it's not gonna do it to me. But it's only done in my life. That's only done that to me. Jesus Christ, I can't even tell you. Like 4 times ever. So I remembered the last time it happened to me, I actually like pulled out my phone and Googled it. Because I never use keyboard. I'm not a keyboard guy at all. I put my computer way to the side and I try to remember to basically just MIDI map everything that I need. Wow, is that set on that slow of a startup? No? That's weird. What is going on? Oh, my BPM is like triple cut down. That's why. There we go. This is what happens when you don't look at your screen too much. You're always in here. Now I had that set to automatically load something, but for whatever reason it didn't want to. So let's close this out. I'm just so used to plug and play. Like going deep into these things is. We'll do my little VJ mix here, video game thing, and we'll drop this over into the middle. We'll bring that fader up. All right, so now we've got 2 1080p videos playing. We'll put it on a transition that shows both, and then we'll pull up our info window. This is something we're going to get to in a bit anyways. And now you can see the buffer where they're at. And we'll pull up our messages. That keyframe is a killer too. If you didn't know, if you're getting into editing video, make sure your keyframes are like, honestly, I've always done, if it's a video I know I'm going to scratch with, I do them at like 15. If it's a video, like if it's like a dance track or something I don't ever feel like I'm going to scratch with, I do them at like whatever the frame rate is. So if it's like a 25, if it's a UK video and it's 25 frames per second, I'll do 25 keyframes. Or if it's like, 30 or 29,997, I do 30. If it's 60, I still do 30. Just because I feel like 60 is too far apart. All right, so let's move on. The beat view is very important. Now you don't necessarily need them displayed, as you can see here as I toggle them on and off. You don't really need them displayed, but it is a nice visual feature to get that. Lower full screen window level. Now this works. I have this on because of Jam Text. Right here, Jam Text. If you've never checked out Jam Text, it's an absolutely amazing way to connect with your people in your place. Especially if they're under 30, they are in their phones. You might as well use it. They basically text or email or hashtag on Twitter and send you messages and pictures, and you elect in real time to put them on the screen in the corner as a little overlay. One of my rooms, Tavern, which is all college kids, I run that, and I run it from 10 to midnight. And in those 2 hours, I get probably like 250 to 300 messages. Now, granted, some of them are 50 from the same person, but you get their name, their phone number, or it's an email, you get their email. It's usually a phone number. And then you can go into the software, and out of all the phone numbers, as long as they've filled out like their Apple information, you can actually separate all the phone numbers into male and female, and then spit it out to like, MailChimp or whatever, and create like a mailing list and stuff. It's pretty crazy. I've never gone that far with it because I feel like as soon as you start spamming people with promotions, they're too hip to it. They're not gonna mess with it anymore. Low, medium, more than 1 minute, self-explanatory. 0 alpha channel. You know what? I have that on, and I really don't know why, because I don't have anything with an alpha channel in it. This is huge. Delay compensation. This is something, and he actually came up with this helper, which is absolutely key. Depending on where you're playing, how many things there are between your HDMI out and the screens, there can be a lot of delay added to the videos, and there's nothing more aggravating than watching a video and the lips don't match up with the tracks. Super annoying. And we can talk a little bit more about like playing a club set versus a bar set. Like a club set, honestly, you might not even need to do that. I run a ton more visuals and I run a ton more effect sequencer stuff at clubs because I don't want people watching the screens. I want the screens to basically be my lighting and a little bit of a marketing thing, and that's about it. I'm not trying to get people to stop or even pay attention to the video screens in nightclubs. When I play in bars where a lot more people are sitting, or it's more of a standing situation, I feel like that shit needs to be perfect. And what they did with this is they added a helper. And basically you turn this helper on, which I'm about to do in a second, and it allows you to get your screen, which is offsite here, and your screen here, and use the slider to get them to match. So if I click helper, we're going to get some colors. Now, as you can see, they're off a little bit. See how the, actually, let me move this window up here so you can see it a little better. As you can see up here, actually, I can pull it right down here. You can see it's a little behind. That's because I'm at 0.15. If I go to 0, 0, it's right on. It's actually a little behind, actually, even though it's the same. But if I go way over here, you can see how much it's off. Or if I go this way, you can see how much it's off in the other way. So depending on the venue, this allows you to slide. Laser streams, what's good, man? This allows you to adjust for the delay. Now, I've played in a couple casinos where you're going into a scan converter, or no, sorry, a ballon, a powered ballon, and then oh man, I gotta whatchamacallit, a bot. Can we get someone to block them, please? Thank you. The ballon, which goes Cat 6, 500 yards, goes up to a control room, goes into the receiving end of the powered ballon, then goes into a matrix, and then it goes from the matrix into like a booster, which sends it Cat 6 all the way back to the TVs throughout the venue. And then on the TVs, there's probably another ballon, and then it's getting dropped back down to HDMI and going into the TVs. So he added this second. You get a full 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. I've used up to 5 seconds before. Casino I played in Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, had a 5-second delay between when the video played and by the time I hit the TV. I was going nuts. I'm like, there's no way I'm way up here, like at 0.7, 750 milliseconds, going, there's no way it's this slow. There's no way. And then I clicked and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And yeah, it was 5 seconds. Something to note, if you go the other way, which rarely happens, but if you should go less than 0, one of the things about that is your sample players, let me shut this off, your sample players will not fire. So right here, if I hit a sample, we get a little video sample here, yay. But if I go negative, because why? You can't go back in time. I can't make this render before it happens. It's science. Like, you can't do it. So anything less than 0, you will not get your samples. So just be aware that if you're like, my sample stopped working, that's why. Notifications, if you choose a effect, it'll pop up, right? Well, as you can see, I don't know why it's over there. That's bizarre. Oh, maybe I have the location? Yeah. Position. So let's change this effect and then position. Oh wait, that's weird. Why is it up there? Anyways, you can have it here so you can see where your knobs are and everything. I don't know, it was weird the position changed, because did you see that? It was up there for a second. It fixed itself. Thank you, Nikki. And that is basically the notification system. Now, streamers, this is where you need to pay attention. If you're streaming and you want to stream video from your MacBook Pro to another system, if you're trying to do it on here, which is gonna, unless you got a brand new Mac, It's going to wreak a little havoc on your GPU. What you should be doing is going NDI out to your OBS. So that's what I do. Now, here's something that's weird. We kind of had to fiddle with this a little bit. If you're using a Ethernet cable, even though you can pick the hierarchy in your preferences for your network on which one is the one that gets used, I forget where it is, but you can put them in order by which one it should use first. I forget where it is. It's in here somewhere. You can tell it like use the Ethernet first, and then if the Ethernet works, if the Ethernet doesn't work, then go to this, you know. So you can do that. Even still, if you're trying to do NDI over Ethernet cable, just turn off your Wi-Fi. I don't know why it doesn't like to. It'll try to go through the Ethernet and then randomly just switch to the Wi-Fi and then switch back. So what happens is you get like a bunch of frames that kind of bunch up, and then it releases them, and then it catches up super fast, and then it does it again. So Ethernet cable, buy a little router, not a router, a little switch. Plug your Mac into the switch. Plug your streaming computer into the switch, and then go into your OBS and make sure you have NDI there. Make sure you have NDI here, and we can talk a little bit more about other shit to do with NDI. As well, because you can get like I have a Mevo. You can wirelessly get Mevo into Mixed Emergency with NDI as well. We can talk about that. But it's so butter, and it's almost instant latent, like no latency. Like I would say less than 20 milliseconds. It's amazing. So if you've never explored NDI and you're like, hey, I want to do video on my streams, but I don't want to do it on the same computer. I have a streaming PC and a DJing Mac. Again, $30 switch, 2 Ethernet cables. It's a wrap. It's a way to go for sure. Of course, you can always do HDMI out to a capture card. Like right now, I'm going out to a capture card so we can get the screen, because otherwise I would have had to done like an NDI screen share, which I just didn't feel like diving into. And of course, you can do RGBA alpha, which I don't really have anything in here that's alpha, so I don't bother with that. All right, so that is your Mixed Emergency menus. I should say menus. Your Mixed Emergencies, menus up here. So we went through all these. Now we can talk about briefly. We are going to do every single window in here. So Arnaud, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, NDI is amazing. It is so friggin' ridiculous. And if you didn't know, Mixed Emergency does have NDI in, and you can also, a cool little trick is, I'm not going to do it now because I'm not running it, but you can turn on NDI monitor, I think is what I use. It's been a bit. Nope, sorry. NDI virtual input. Sorry. You get NDI virtual input, and then that puts it here. And then when I turn on anything that's sending NDI on the same network, it pops up here, and then it pops up here. So like I can actually tell this, anything that's sending NDI can come into Mixed Emergency through the NDI virtual input. It's amazing. So like I said, oh, did this die? I'm gonna have to plug this in. I have my Mevo. Right now I'm running it wired, but because you can run it in webcam mode, which I was going to talk about that, but you can also run it in NDI mode, and it just wirelessly connects to your system. Well, now what I do is I put it in front of the DJ booth onto my crowd, and every once in a while I just turn the NDI on, and it puts my crowd in the venue onto the video wall, and they go nuts. Like, people love to see themselves on the video wall. I'm surprised that died that quick. The battery wasn't even close to dead. It doesn't say it was dead. I got this great little light the other day too. Let me just get this back out to the proper setting. Oh yeah, no, battery was low. There we go. Wow, that didn't last long at all. I guess maybe I wasn't fully charged. But yeah, so you can NDI out. Thank you, Laser Streams. Um, yeah, dude. Honestly, Cody, the Mevo is probably one of the most forward-thinking cameras to come out. Um, you can do so much. You can actually pair three of them together and do live camera switching. It's got a line in, so if you want to like go right out dual RCA into not quarter inch, eighth inch plug. It's got it's amazing. It's I can't say enough good things about them. The only thing I don't like is they did not build like a swappable lens feature or a reverse screw-in feature, so you can put like a super wide angle lens. It's relatively wide, but not quite wide enough for me. Mevo was a company on their own. This is just a bunch of guys. I think they were in New York, and they actually got bought recently by Logitech. So, like, mine doesn't even say Logitech on it. That's how long I've had that thing. All right, so moving on. Let's start with the windows. There are a lot of windows, so you guys who might have seen the post I had made. I'm gonna put this down here. The post I had made. Oh shit! Hold on. Oh, my bad. Um, the I thought I just saw something and I didn't. So those of you who saw my post today, I actually opened up all the windows, and it was completely clickbait to make people go, what, what is all that? You know. Let me load this too, so it just makes a little more sense. Basically, these windows. One of the best things about Mixemergency is the fact that you can run it as intense and as crazy and as involved and over the top as you want, or you can just turn it on, put it in the background, and forget it. There's two ends of that spectrum with the software, and it really, really, really does allow you to do so much. Everything has like blending modes on it, so like, you know, like getting around the hiccups of, you know, you want to do an overlay and maybe, you know, you only have it with a black background. You know, you can actually go into your image and put whatchamacallit on a blending mode on it, so you can, you know, you can fix it. Even these, you can put, there's blending modes in here. So it's kind of crazy. Moving on, let's look at our windows. First one is the actual control window, or I should say the actual Mixemergency window. This little one right here. It's small, it's cute, but it's arguably got a few of the most important buttons in the entire software on it. Number one, this one right here. This is your actual output window. So if you ever lose your window, look here first. If it's gray, then it's off. It's not on. This one right here is to what makes it full screen. This right here selects where it's going. These toggle off the other windows. So you don't have to come up here and go window, go to the drop down window. The only time you really have to do that is if you want to open one of the other windows, like we talked about earlier, like the messages window. This message window isn't on here because this is kind of like a housekeeping window. It's not a performance window, so it's not on there. Going up here, you have your left button, your left output. You have your preview. You have your right. And I think this joins them. Oh, that just turned that off. Let's go back. I didn't know that was a window for that. This one right here is your sample player. This is your mixer effects, which we will get into that a little bit as well. This right here is the one aspect of this software that will completely separate you from other video DJs in your market who aren't using this. This is the effect sequencer. This right here is probably one of the most powerful elements that you can add to a video set. And it's what I talked about at the beginning. Having your content snap to the music or do things to the music with build-ups and whatever you're trying to do, you can create and use the effects that are in the software to mirror that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to bring this back over here to the Ghibli video so we can see that. I'm going to go into my sequencer. Actually, we're not going to dive into the sequencer yet because it's a whole conversation. But just to give you an idea, this is, you can see right here, I name it delay, rotate, and slide. So when I hit this button, basically this video is going to add a delay, a rotation, and then a slide. And it's going to go to the music. So if I turn the music up, hold on a second here. It's going to go to the music. I might have the delay off because we mess with it quite a bit. But it allows you to make things happen with the videos in time with the music. And when you're playing, especially like dance music and stuff, and like I said, you don't want people actually sitting there watching your videos, it really makes things easier for you to make it look like you're VJing while you're DJing, you know, adding these elements. And of course, these are just the sequenced ones. You have another whole set of them in here that you can add on top of that. So we can add a cropper to it. And then these right here, we can turn these on and make them go to the grid as well. So now we've got two different elements going. We have, you know, actually we'll do this one right here. We'll do this flash. And I mean, that's pretty vanilla, but we can go in here and we can change these parameters a little bit so it's not so crazy. We can add a step if we want. We can have it go the opposite direction. And it allows you, and then if you want to take it even further, we got this happening, right? We got all this happening. Let's go ahead and find a random transition that has movement. So we're going to go through our random transitions. I just had one. I was looking for a certain one. The 3x3, so it's going to triple them up. So now, like, you see what I mean? Like, this happening in a venue when the music is doing its shit and you're like, oh shit, here comes a build-up. You can go in here and double up the timing of it, you know? So, like, it's crazy. And that's all done in here by telling these parameters different things. And in this case, right now we're running three different things. We're running this sequence, we're running a 3x3 transition, and then we're running a crop effect. And again, we can change all sorts of things in here. We can change now a crop. Obviously, you wouldn't need to change a blend on that, but if we were doing, let me find something that's color based, like an RGB offset. And same thing, we can have it done by the base of the song as well if you don't want it to be on the grid. And then we can add something like exclusion. There we go. And now it's going to flip that video. And, you know, it's not going to do the Mario video because I'm on the left deck. So, yeah. It's really easy to really... And the best part about this is if you stumble across something and you're like, oh, man, I really like that. You just save it as a preset. And then you mini-map those presets and you can access that stuff that fast. So you know there's a transition coming, you know there's a drop coming, you know you have a buildup coming. You map your rate to what you want the rate to be. Did we ever, I don't know, Nick, did we ever figure this out? Can we map this to a knob yet? I think we can, right? I'd like to be able to map that to a knob. It's probably in there. I just haven't looked in a while. Because like I said, I'm playing on different gear. So that is a sequencer. We'll get into that a little bit more, how to do it, because this is going to be a relatively long video. Let's move on to our next piece, which is your effects. Well, no, sorry, preset window. So you have effects, transitions, text overlays, and this is something that I use all the time. If I have a happy birthday preset, so I can just go in and change the name. We do black cards. We did pizza. We had a thing where like the owner was bringing in like 24 pizzas at like 1 o'clock and selling them for like super ridiculous money. Kiss cam. I did that because when I have the Mevo set up, I don't know why people end up in front of it making out. And I just put up kiss cam. So anyways, that's how you use the text. Image overlays, again, like I actually just took a lot of stuff off of my computer, so some of these aren't even there anymore, but it allows you, this probably won't show up because I think I moved it. Oh, no. So there's like my original like Popple thing, you know, you can put things like that on the screen. It doesn't need to be a PNG, but if it is, you will get, or actually it takes Photoshop, so you will get proper, you know, you do need to add your own shadows. So don't expect it to add shadows, add your own shadows, etc., etc. Best thing to do is keep it a Photoshop file, drop it in. If it looks good, leave it alone. If not, go back in Photoshop, make some middle adjustments, come back. Bob's your uncle. Quartz Composer, it's sort of an antiquated sort of thing. People still use it. There are some, you know, pretty wild things you can do with Quartz Composer, but like I don't even know if people can get their hands on it anymore. You used to have to download like developer tools and, you know, try to find it. I don't even know if it's a thing anymore, but when it was badass. Video input overlays, that's if you want to have like different, if you have a bunch of different cameras. Let's just say like hypothetically right now you see like a Epoch cam, which I don't have on, but if I had my phone on, and then I could do the NDI video in through the Mevo, and then if you wanted to like swap cameras, you can go bang, bang, bang down the line and go hit those different cameras. So it's almost like having a camera mixer, or, you know, almost like an ATEM for the cameras that are coming in. But then again, you have to remember, you only have so many ports on this, right? Like we're using MacBook Pros, chances are you have 2 or less USBs. So something to think about. Sequencer, again, you can see right here, I use all 6 pages of my sequencers. I have 12 times 6 different settings, and every few months I go in and I change these because I feel like they get stale. Now I didn't really ever use these on Twitch because I feel like people are actively watching on Twitch, so to do things like make things shake and make things flash is not the best idea for people watching on their phone, you know, and just kicking back or watching on their TV. It's a ideology that I kind of throw across the board everywhere, and that is knowing when, or knowing what weapon to bring to each battle. You know what I mean? Like, you don't show up to a nightclub and have your videos be vanilla. Like, you want them to pop, you want visuals, you want shit to be crazy. You're at a bar, not so much. You're on Twitch, not at all. Like, you gotta kind of read the element and you know, sort of get it to where it needs to be for that venue. Mixer effects, which we'll talk about briefly. I know I brought it up already. Basically, your knobs are mapped. So if I turn my filter knob on my mixer here, you can see the filter knob. Oh wait, did I leave the volume up on the music? Oh, I didn't. You guys didn't even tell me I left the volume up. Jesus. I guess I don't have the filter mapped, but hold on. I don't have the filter map, but when you see when I turn this knob, the low knob, that's changing because I have an element saturation applied to that knob. And when I turn this knob, that happens. And when I turn, so that allows you to make your mixes even. Guys, I had the Serato playing that loop that whole time, and you didn't say anything. Come on, man. I don't have a preview on, so I didn't know that was happening. But yeah, so you can take your mixer and give it all these different effects attached to your different knobs. And one cool thing, I did this before, but I haven't done it since I basically reinstalled everything from scratch. I used to have an early night, midnight, late night, and hype setting. So when I was doing battle type stuff, scratching, I would have all this stuff super intense. So when I like did a bass swap, like there was a lot of stuff happening, like zooming and exclusion. I use that quite a bit too. It like flips your color almost like a negative. Thanks, Laser Streams. I think my Mevo just shut off. All right, moving on. The next one is media banks. Media bank is a huge tool. We're going to get into that in a second, but you can have all those presets for a media bank. And then, of course, the sample player. You go into a different sample player, you can see I have like my Halloween overlay here, which isn't going to load because I moved it since. But your samples, your video samples are all in here. And you can link them to your sample player in Serato. That way you can, have all these things that match your audio drops. I get the hey, 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 hey. And then this is where actually a lot of my ideas for Twitch actually came from here. So, of course, I got the big poppy. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate that, man. And then, of course, you can, so these, before we get into this, just to give you, I was just about to say GAs, HAP. Now, I don't know if Nick has looked into moving to WebM or not, because WebM seems to be where the streaming side of the world likes their alpha channels, but Mixed Emergency works best with the HAP filter, which you can get, HAP codec, which you can get through their website. I think it's hot linked on one of their info pages. And I use Premiere. You just render it out HAP with an alpha channel, and that's how I made basically all of these, including like these little video drops. I don't do audio drops. I do video drops because I just feel like don't interrupt the mix with you're listening to. I hate that. I mean, good on you if you do it, but I make a lot of these cheeky like comic book kind of stuff. That kind of speaks to my personality, make it your own. Oh God, I haven't used this one forever. I forgot it existed. Oh man. Jesus, that's dated, right? Okay. All right. So that's your sample player. I'm sorry. That is your preset window. And there's some cool mapping techniques for this as well. I'm pretty sure we set this up now so you can knob through these and you can knob through the pages. I do need to go in here and add more effects, but it's cool because it keeps your presets. So like all these presets are all things I already made, and I can just reference them whenever I need to. I don't have to like come in and rewrite them again, and pretty straightforward, pretty dope. Let me just turn these off. You always leave one as empty. Always. Because if you don't, you have no way to get out of them. It's kind of silly. Moving on, we have our control, which is basically the representation of your your mixer or controller, whatever you want to call it. You have these. If you right click, sorry, not right click. These connect it to your mixer. So if you look right here, when I move my up fader up and down, and when I move my crossfader, they're all connected, pretty run-of-the-mill normal stuff. And here we have our transition types. So if we hit this, it'll just transition on its own, right? Isn't that how that works? No, sorry. Is it this one? There we go. So that's that auto transition we talked about, which is not transition. It's not that great, but if you use like dissolve or difference or something like that, it goes nice and smooth. Kind of nice, as opposed to like it being jerky because your hand is hammering the hell out of it. Pretty dope. Actually forget what that does. Another cool thing, and this is something that I asked for and I love it. Certain transition have different parameters. So if we go to a transition like grid 2, you see this knob right here? This knob, when we're in mid transition, will change the parameter of this effect. So watch when I move this. It increases the amount of duplication of the windows. Pretty dope. Now there's other things. I'm trying to think. Is this a center slide? No, that one doesn't do it. I'm just trying to split. There we go. So there's the split right here. You can change different elements to how it splits. So I highly suggest if you use this, you map this knob to something that you can get your hands on. So as you can see right here, we have this grid, but it's only doing like a quarter. but if I push it up, it does a lot more. Now, if you map this to a knob, even if you can't see it because we're in random, I can still turn a knob and change that amount. So I happen to map that to, on my 72, the mix in. Hey, real one, what's good, man? Oh, Celtics game tonight, right? Did they win? Hold on, I gotta check real quick. So if the Celtics win tonight, then I'm done until the next round. If they don't win, oh man, 2 seconds left. Oh, they're winning. Oh, wait a minute. 2 seconds left. They're up by 3. 2 seconds up. A whole man. I'm sorry. I'm clicking watch live. It won't let me, so I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that. So if they win, oh shit, what happened to my lights? Oh, someone did lightning. Okay. If they win, then I'm done until the next round. If they lose, they come back to Boston. Was it tomorrow? And I get to play their after party again. So I do all their, well, not their after parties. The after parties of the Greatest Bar, which is a block away. Yeah. Well, they're gonna try to do that play where they foul them on the inbound and try to get the free throws, and then try to get one shot off, and it's gonna have to be a half corner. And even if they hit it, it's just gonna be a tie. So, all right. So moving on. Not to get derailed. What was I talking about? Sorry, I got distracted there. We talked about the effects. We talked about the sequencer. We're still working our way through the mix emergency window, which is this one right here. This is your media player. This is where it defaults to if you load a track that doesn't have a video and tell it to load from media player. Remember we had this? Hold on, let me remind you what to do when there's no track. Right here, when an unlinked audio file is loaded, load media from media bank. This is your media bank. Now what I did is I actually created a folder with a bunch of different visuals, and I just dropped that folder in here. I should be I can reveal it. So all these videos right here are in that folder, and they randomly populate when I load a track with no video. And that's how you video DJ without having videos for the songs. Basically running visuals. Is that they on a commercial? Jesus. Let me get out of this distracting window. And that is a very powerful tool. Or you can actually load individual videos and actually fire them by clicking on them, which is pretty cool as well. Which leads us to the next window. Another important window here is your overlays. Now, we'll start from the bottom up, and the border fill, as you can see right here, I don't have this at the perfect resolution or the perfect aspect ratio. So I have that little bit of blur at the bottom and top, but if I shut that off, we're gonna get the black bars, which is the native resolution of this video. So that's fine. Yeah. It's kind of the way it is, fair. So this down here allows you to pick different methods of filling in that gap. So desaturation is just like taking your saturation knob and turning it to 0. Inversion is kind of like taking well, the inverter tool or inverter blend mode, and then of course you have reflection, which on this one actually looks pretty good. I actually like it better than the blur. But I usually keep it on blur because it adds that nice little element. Siphon input, if you're running something off of this computer that you want to come in, siphon is within the computer. And then of course you have NDI, and we talked about this before. And like I said, these have blend modes too. So if you're bringing in something and you want it as just as an overlay from somebody else or somewhere else, you can actually blend it out with, like linear dodge or overlay. And if it's black, it's a JPEG or a regular video on a black background, you can use those elements to kind of take out things. So if you wanted to like green screen yourself in through an NDI, you have a green screen behind you. You could kind of sort of green screen yourself in wirelessly through NDI. Oh, what happened? Nick with a sub via Jason. Thanks, dude. Yeah, definitely, Cody. Do a lot. Does that happen a lot? I don't really know. The VJs I know don't like me. Rightfully so. I mean, a lot of them don't know what Mixed Emergency does. But when I start talking about it with them, they're like, wow, really? Really? I'm like, yeah, sorry, dude. So, NDI is amazing. Like we talked about briefly, Quartz is a sort of antiquated, Apple only sort of thing that, does anybody, Cody, you might have a couple left, but, I don't know if anybody has any Quartz that they're still running. When we were first toying with the social media overlays, mostly Twitter and Instagram, the Quartz composition feature was really cool because in Quartz, you could actually pull images off of those things, but then they tightened up their information output, and now you can't really do that. Sipping my late night coffee. So all right, so Cody says he uses it for a countdown. I just use Extendamix. Their countdowns are pretty bomb. Let's move up. Text, obviously, we briefly talked about, but more importantly, you do have different effects. So if you wanted to do a poor man's, sort of, logo, DJ, and we're going to put it on, we're going to shrink it down. I'm going to move it. I'm going to change these elements a little bit, make it a little more boxy. DJ Sassafras in the house. There's also box reverse. Not that this is great, but it's a thing. And you got Poor Man's 3D, which is always a favorite. And then, of course, if you're like, this is kind of whack, but if you're the kind of guy that's like, hey, man, I know what font my logo is. It's Lucky Guy. So you can make it Lucky Guy, make it a little bigger. These shadows and things don't work. I wish I did. And then change the color to something more you. And boom, you now have a simple fake 3D logo and a moving around thing. Or, you can obviously do something like this. And we'll make it red because it's important. Why did that not change? Because I got to respawn it. We'll make her red. And then we'll pull it into the middle. You can map all these knobs too. There you go. End of the night. You need something like that up. It's there for you. Oh yeah, no, Twitter is not the club thing it used to be. Although, to be fair, if you know what, we'll do it right now. Actually, I don't think I have the Twitter thing on here anymore. If you look up hashtag DJ Joshua Carl, you'll find the random people that post to my jam text through that. I started with Flyboost, and moved to jam text. But Flyboost is amazing. Those are great guys too. I love those guys, but I had to double down on jam text. It's ridiculously good. I don't know what Flyboost has done lately though. It's been a while. I'm actually going to save this one. So I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to save this last call. So now I should probably center it. It's centered, right? Yeah, it's a little to the left. It don't look like it's rotating on a weird axis. There we go. Last call. We don't do last call in Boston. We just end the night. Image, like we talked about before, it's just like in this case, it is a PSD file. You can move it around, you can resize it, you can do the same thing. I have it on a super slow pulse, so it just kind of fades in and out. Oh, I never knew that. That brings it back to 0? No, it doesn't. It just changes it. Lies! All lies. I'm double clicking. It's not resetting it. Oh, command click. So let's. Oh, good to know. Good to know. Thank you. That's why he's here. Not because he created the most amazing video DJ software ever. To correct my mistakes. So yeah, you can drop a lot of different things in here. Actually, Nick, I wasn't sure. I've never tried it. Can you drop a GIF in here, or GIF, depending on how old you are? If not, that would be amazing. And what limitations are there? There are, man. There really are. Like we said at the beginning, like the software is as simple as you need it to be, or as intense as you need it to be, which is great. You know, like I know people that don't know any of this stuff and use the software because the output is so clean and it's so light on your Mac. And then there's other guys that are like, I want all the bells, you know. But like anything, like DJing, you have to make sure that your standard practice is tight before you start. You can't be like, you know, galloping a mix and be, but look at the video. Nah, man, like your audio has to be super tight first. So I won't soapbox on that for too long. Video input. This is where we have some fun. I gotta turn this back on. So, not sure if I'm gonna bother trying to do the NDI, but the video input, it allows you to select, and actually I think I just asked for this recently, to be able to move video input down, so I could have images and logos on top of it. One of the ways I used this one time is we had Trace come up and do a set. Now he messes with video, but he wasn't really doing video quite so much at that point. And being who he was, I wanted people to be able to see his hands in the decks. So I put a camera on the decks, put a little light on them, and I made the venues and Red Bulls, and I put their logos on a loop, and then in the corner was his hands. Well, actually not in the corner, but like 3/4 of the screen was his hands, and then I had a visual running behind it. And it was cool because the venue was like relatively long, and not everybody could like get on the decks and like look over the booth and watch him because it was a relatively small booth, only maybe like 30 people could see. So I'm like, man, I want these people in the back of the venue to be able to see what he's doing. So being able to like go into this, which I think I should be able to, I'm just gonna go into my Mevo app here and just I guess see what happened with the Celtics. I was waiting for a report. They won, so I'm not working tomorrow. And I'm getting messages. So the Mevo app is pretty dope. It allows you to see, wirelessly. It's got to reconnect here at the moment, and then once it reconnects, I should be able to select it in this drop-down window. I might have to replug it. It went to sleep. I wasn't touching it for a bit. Giggity. But you can do this a couple different ways. You can have it, like I said, come in through NDI, which I don't think I'm gonna try it. Well, you know what? We'll try it. We'll mess with it. Lost connection. What is going on? Oh, there we go. I put it in the sleep mode apparently. Well, and yeah. So it's well, actually, oh, you know why? Because I don't have it. Duh. So right now I'm running it through. No, you don't need an adapter. No, it's got NDI right in it. Dude, it is the move. AP, what's good, man? Cody, I can't tell you enough, man. Like how much I could see you looking into this camera and just geeking out with it. It's legit. It's pretty legit. And like I said, if you get 3 of them paired up, like it's pretty crazy. So in the app, it allows you to connect over a network, or it's got its own private little network in it that you can use to connect. You can get the USB-C to Ethernet adapter and do it that way, but you can also put it in webcam mode, which is what I'm about to do, and that allows you to run it over the cable. So right now I have this going. I don't know if I'd say it feels good, but it's kind of nice to like be ahead of the curve in some, right. I commented on his post. I was like, man, like we've been 2 years we've been messing with this thing. Well, maybe a year and a half, but still like it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice, and to see him geek on it, because it just goes to show you, man, like guys like yourself and other folks, just like we find the solutions out of necessity. And I think Mevo was definitely that move. So again, you get an app, connect it to the app. Now you can see, and then you can actually zoom with it and stuff. So, what I'll show you guys when I get this coming in. This isn't a Mevo ad, but this is just what you can do in Mixed Emergency. Right now I have it, like I said, I have it coming in via webcam mode. So you see here, Mevo 259, and then you turn it on, and poof, there we are. So I'm over here now, and I have it. You can see I can running at medium quality. I'm gonna push it to high, just for shits and giggles, and then you can change the aspect ratio, but we can blow it up. And what was it? Control command click. Yeah, there we go. Get that back to 0. So now you can do your little. You can point this at your decks. You can point it at your crowd. What I like to do is put it down here, like in the corner or something. Let's bring that down. Not that big, obviously, but what would be a cool feature, Nick, if this is a thing you could do, is if we could crop it. Like if, you know, it's obviously widescreen right now. I guess I could change it, to stretch, but that's not gonna. Whoa. Yeah, see, that's not really what I was looking to do. And then, of course, you've got a mix or blend, so you can kind of have it a little on there. You dicks. you point it at your dick, and then you can see what you're doing, because it's at your dicks. And again, this is right now it's running over the cable here. I'm holding this up to the screen like we're getting Inception. But what we'll do now, just so you guys can see, is I will switch this over to wireless mode, so you can kind of get an idea. Now, I would run. I did the Resolume thing for maybe a year, and then it was just like I got away from it. So as you can see, maybe you can see this right now, as a little red button says webcam. So I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna take it out of webcam mode, and I'm gonna put it into NDI. So I have to turn off webcam mode. When you turn it off, it goes doo 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 doo. It kind of sounds like Twilight Zone. And then I'm gonna put it in NDI mode at 1080p, 5 millibytes. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna do 720 because I feel like 1080p is just too much. I could, but I'm not gonna. So the options over NDI are 1080p 1500 or 15 megabytes, 1080p 5, 720, 7.5, or 725. So I'm gonna do 720, 7.5. It's actually less megabytes, more megabytes. You know what? Yeah, that's fine. And turn on the NDI, and now there's two ways. Actually, there's one way I know it comes in, but I have to change them. Check my network too. I don't know if these are on the same network. This one is on. I have to change this to my 5G network. And hopefully it's working. And then I got to change this one to a different network. So, oh, there's an update. Brandon, you know there's an update? Change connection type. We're going to do Wi-Fi. Stream via Wi-Fi. Now, you wouldn't have to do this every time. You do it before the gig because you know what you're getting into before you get there. But what this does is allows you to use your phone or your iPad and then wirelessly bring this into Mixed Emergency via NDI in the webcam, maybe, but definitely in the NDI window, which is another window that we're going to be talking about here. I just got to put my password in. I shouldn't say it out loud. I almost did. Not that it matters. I'm not hiding anything. So we're going to come get on my network here. The network upstairs is what it was on because I usually have it as a dog cam. What do you mean unable to join? Let me try this again. Maybe I put the wrong password. That's more than likely what I did with my fingers being what they are. Unable to join. Go to Wi-Fi settings. Let's try this again. Oh, that's why. Because I'm not on that network on my phone. You have to be on the network on the phone. So give me a second. I'm not sitting here on my phone checking my email while I have you guys sitting here in my chat, I promise. You can do this too for streaming. If you want to stream to your computer and then have that go out wirelessly over NDI, you can do that as well. If you are going to use the Mevo as your main camera, though, I would suggest either running in a webcam mode or doing wired NDI with the Ethernet adapter. That would be the move because, as you can imagine, wireless 1080p is only so reliable. You could bring a hotspot. The Mevo's got its own hotspot though. You can actually stream to Twitch or Facebook or to RMTP directly from that device. Like, you don't even need any other hardware. I streamed plenty of times from one of my clubs straight from that. Just, and you can put logos on it and do all kinds of crazy stuff. All right, so NDI is now connected, I believe. Let me open up the NDI. Yep, there it is. So you can see up here in the top, my virtual input is coming in as the Mevo. But here's the thing. If I go here and take NDI video, I don't think... Oh! Okay. All right, so as you see, bloop, we are completely wireless now. Nothing on the camera. And let's just see what the quality is like on this, because let's go full scale. Command click. There we go. And command click. Command click. Is that full? Is that? Yeah, that's full screen. There we go. That's not bad, right? Let's go for a walk. So this, like I said, allows you to. I think once I get outside here into the hall, it might get a little dark. You might not be able to see. You probably can't hear me because I don't have this coming in as any sort of audio. But again, so this allows you to have this. Yeah, I won't go anywhere. This allows you to have wireless, pretty good video, right? Like, let me make this full screen. It's a little weird. It's not flattering. Like, this is the flattering angle. This is not the flattering angle. And the other thing I can do is I can go in on the app here and I can zoom in. But this is not a Mevo commercial. But again, this is all running wirelessly through. Let me just minimize this here. Wirelessly through. I just zoomed apparently. Wirelessly through my network into Mixed Emergency via the NDI virtual input. Now, this is free. You download it off of the NDI site. There's a whole pack of tools, and I gotta tell you guys, like, there's a couple rooms I play where, like, I'm kind of on a stage situation, and popping this thing on the crowd that's all facing you and they see themselves on the wall behind you, they lose their shit. It's amazing. It's an amazing feature. You can see I'm a little network congestion, right? That's what we're going to run into because it's Wi-Fi. So we'll kill that. So that is the virtual input. The other way to do this, so I'm gonna keep that off. We'll switch it. We'll put it to default. Now, if I go down here to Ndi Input, we can do it here too. And the reason why we do it here, which thing I don't kind of like, is you don't have much control over it. It's just in, and then you have some blending modes. So like I said, if you wanted to do a fake green screen, like if you could get a green screen behind yourself, you could go down, probably use like dodge, or if you had a black background behind you, you could probably kind of key out whatever's behind you. It's obviously not going to be perfect, but you could kind of DJ input yourself. GoPros too. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could use GoPros, but I don't know if GoPros will come into Mixed Emergency. They don't have NDI. I think they have their own little proprietary thing. So my GoPros are old, so I know they don't. But I don't know if like a GoPro 10 Max or whatever it is going to have that. So I always use the video input version of the NDI because there's more options. This has got blend modes, which is cool, and it's got an opacity slider or knob, which is cool, but it's much better to go in here and be able to scale it and put yourself in the corner, you know, as an inlay. Oops, that's not what I wanted to move. You know, do something like that, and then put that on your decks. So the people on the other side of the venue, AP, yeah, it's a Mevo. I need a Mevo code. I might have had one at one point. No, maybe. So yeah, so this is a great, I would recommend wired. You can obviously, like I said, it's not terribly bad wireless. It's nothing connected. It's great, but for consistency and whatnot, you probably want to, like I said, run it wired. All right, moving on. I think we've covered that enough. Like I said, I did not want to make this a commercial, but I just wanted to show you what was possible given the features. Oh, that would be amazing, Cody. If you could give your camera to the bottle service people and then have one of the girls carry the camera to the table while they're getting the bottles and put that on the screen, they would lose their shit. That is a great idea. None of the places I work in have that, so, but if you're in the kind of place that does bottle service and video, that's the move, man. It's all about thinking outside the box and figuring out ways to make these things work for you. Like we talked about a little bit. If you're in a bar, you know you're in a bar, do things that are bar centric that people in bars will get down with. Don't try to like turn a bar into EDC, you know, and just like if you're an electronic music DJ, don't go in there playing sleepy ass shit like this, unless you're opening, of course. Make it yours. All right, so that is the overlays window. Did we finish? We did. We finished the control window. Let's get into something that I actually completely forgot about until today, the media sequence editor. Now, what this does is you pick a couple clips and you drop it in, right? And then what it does is it'll actually change these clips on beat or however many beats you tell it to. Now, the thing is, if you try to do one beat, you can see here, I have them all set to 2. If you had to try to do 1 and your videos aren't rendered properly or they're big, it's gonna hiccup. Now, Nick, I was gonna say we should add a preset for these, because as of right now, the only way I know to load these is to go into the file and actually. So when this is actually the editor. Sorry, let me get into this first. This is your editor. This allows you to load them, determine what is going to be the thing that changes them, and then save them. Once you've done that, it spits out these sequences. So now if I drop this sequence into the player, it's going to change this. Even though they look similar, those are different. They're different. Let me do the other one. MA2. So it's going to change this every beat, every 2 beats. Sorry. And because the track, see how it hung right there? Because these are actually they're 1080p and 4K, and some of them are like 15, 20 seconds. Vinyl Manipulator, how are you doing? Welcome, first time chatter. Oh, you can put them in the media bank. I did not know that. See, you learn something new every day. I rarely ever use these because I use the media bank as it is. But now that I know this, I think I'm actually going to make a couple. Question, if I have a folder in the media bank, yeah, no, I don't want that. I'm going to have to make another media bank thing. So I'm going to have to save that, and then I'm going to have to do a second one and call this one sequences. No, that's not what sequences. So then, no, wait a minute. Sorry, my bad. Media bank. Yeah, that's right. So that's standard. We'll do sequences, then I'll have this be in there. But what this does is I'll turn the music up a little bit. It's going to change this sequence every 2 beats, because as you can see right here, I have this set to 2 beats, which, yay, that's amazing. But if you go into the sequencer, add a little cropper to it, now it's changing 2 beats, or we do a little 3x3 bouncer to it, it's changing 2 beats, and then it's also doing this every 2 beats, and these, we're going to get into the sequencer next. I've done sequencer videos in the past, and I've shared my sequences. DJ for Life, which part? Sorry. Sorry, I missed that question. So again, we're talking about throwing things on top of other things to get them to do things. And this is freezing on purpose. This is actually something I made. It's supposed to look like a freeze type thing. But you do something like this, like an ACC strobe that's going basically 1-to-1. That's hanging right there because, like I said, those are a little bit more intense. These other ones that I had that are in this other one, I think it was number 1. We'll find out here in a second. Yeah, so these are all shorter clips. They're all like one loops. So it'll actually look like it's changing because I have a strobe that's going to the beat. It's actually going to look like it's changing like every other beat. Media bank is, if you go into your mix emergency window right here, it's this one that looks like the film. And then to get this open right here, the media sequencer, it's actually not in there. You got to go up to window and pull up the media sequence editor. So we can get more into that one too. No, no. These are just regular MP4s. Oh, I didn't realize that, Tony. How you doing, man? I thought you had a Twitch Tony Morris page. These are just regular. If it's HAP, that's just for alpha channel stuff. So you know what's funny is if you're, yeah, no, you don't need this to be HAP. I mean, HAP is just a better, more efficient decoding situation because it's not compressed as much. I think that's right, Nick. So the HAP doesn't have to work as hard to, run. Well, that just hung for a second, but this is a HAP and it doesn't have to work as hard to, it's obviously bigger. All right, so that is our media player. That is the media sequencer. And again, you can save them. And as I was just told, you can put them in your sequencer, but I'm going to have to basically go into my sequencer. So we'll go to sequencer, I'm sorry, media player, my bad, and media bank. Sorry, we're going to go into the sequences one. We're going to open that right here. And now I'm going to drop this into that. So we're going to go to my movies because that's what those are. And I'm going to drop number 2 in that one. And then number 1 on that one. I don't know if this will give me a thumbnail or not. See if it does. I don't think it does. So now I can, in theory, let me eject this deck real quick. Oh, it's playing on that side. Where's it? No. Oh, because I ejected. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a second here. Get another track. I'll drop that in. Can't hear it anyways, right? Turn the volume down. Oh, I need to turn it down. My bad. I'll turn it down. Hold on. Again, you guys, if you hear that volume up, tell me. I'll turn it down. Minimize that. There we go. So now it's running this one. I should be able to switch to that one, right? No, it's just playing that one. Or did I load the same one? Or do I'm confused. You drag it and drop it. There we go. So yeah. So you can load those all up in there, and that can go back to my original one. Oh no, what happened to my other thing that was in here? Just I must have overwritten it. Yeah, so it does these right here. That's it. So, and you can change how many. So this is gonna go 16 beats because it's 2 times 8, 16. You can change it. You can kick it up to 4. Then I'll obviously do 32, etc., etc. Don't forget to turn down the loop this time. Turn down for what? Sorry, I just had to say that. So 2 is quick, right? I mean, it's kind of, you should probably do 4. Probably makes more sense. So if I go in, I change all these to 4. You can see it kind of chilled out a little bit. Save it. I don't know if this was 1 or 2. I think it's 1. We'll write that over 1. Save it. Replace it. Huh. You see that? It like deleted those. They're not there anymore. That's bizarre. Alright, so we'll go back into sequences, and I'll drop those 2 sequences in there again. Videos, movies, sorry. And we got, this is number 2. I should rename them so I know what they are. It makes more sense, right? And then we'll save them here as sequences. And then we'll drop this one in. There we go. So now that's running on a 4-beat loop instead of a 2-beat loop. That's a good idea. Vinyl manipulator. I wanted to put that up. That's a good idea. Now, are you running like alpha channel stuff over other stuff, or are you just running like the promos? I used to run a lot of that. It's like a lot of my promo stuff I run in my sample player. Like, so GeForce made me this, which is like my greatest bar thing. You have to be careful not to make infinite loops of loading. I don't know what that means. Like make them too long? I'm confused. Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm only gonna ever really use it something like what I just did here, because 9 times out of 10 when so if I go back into the other new bank, and hopefully it didn't delete, so those are there. I actually just take this folder that I made. Where is it? 2020 visuals, and I just drop that in here like this, and then what it'll do is it'll pull from any of these videos, and these videos are stuff like this. And I'll just let that run, you know what I mean? And I'll run sequences over it, you know, to have it do shit. So it's not, you know, so it's not stale. Something like that, you know. All right, so we covered that, and I think that covers the media player and the sequence editor and the sequencer. Random question, Nick, is there any promos going on? I just had someone messaged me, a couple of viewers messaged me directly if there was any like sales or anything coming up. If there is any, let us know. Hopefully some of these folks get on board, get on the pain train. All right, so we talked about this. This is very simple to map. It's all MIDI mapping, which leads us to... Oh, sorry. We're still in this box here. Please explain the beats part on the media player. Okay, we got that. Give me a second, Marv. The last two parts, the last three parts of the mixed emergency box. MIDI, you click this, you can MIDI map everything. Pretty simple. If you don't know how to MIDI map something, there's tons of videos, but basically you click on something that is you want to MIDI map, and it gives you, you can click learn new, and then you move the element on your hardware, whether it's a button or a knob, and that's how it gets mapped. There's also advanced, you can do more stuff, and you can add outputs as well. I haven't messed with 14-bit yet, so we're gonna leave that alone. But you can toggle the MIDI on and off, and there's another MIDI window we're gonna get into in here in a second. The next one we're gonna talk about here is what is controlling it. If you're ever in a situation where you just need to do visuals and you're like the secondary guy and you're not going to use a proper VJ software, you just switch it to Mixed Emergency, and then that track end. Oh, that's probably why that's up, because I didn't have a loop running. That'll allow you to run Mixed Emergency alone. And then this is probably the phone call that I get the most. This thumbtack right here, this little tiny blue thumbtack, allows you to keep Mixed Emergency on top of Serato. So that's huge. Marv, 100%, man. The MIDI capabilities in Mixed Emergency allow you to map this thing. You can, here's the thing, as much as I love the MIDI mapping, and Nick's about to get mad at me, what I wouldn't give for an iOS all-inclusive controller app that connects over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I said it. Whether it's your phone or an iPad, just all your controls on an app pre-made. Two-way communication. That would be ridiculous. Then I wouldn't have to make things with Lemur and TouchOSC. All right, Marv asked, explain the beat thing again for the sequencer editor. So we have 8 samples in here. Now these are all loops. They're all like 5 seconds, or 4 seconds, whatever that is. They're very seamless loops. The amount that you select for the beats is how many beats it stays up. Or if you do length, actually, what is the difference between that? That is weird. BPM, it does 4 beats, and length, sorry. I just let me open this and we'll talk through it. It is kind of like the same comment, but the same parameter, sort of. Let me open. Yeah, it is a little confusing. Let me open my media bank, and we're gonna go back to the sequences, and I'm gonna drop this back in. So, and let me just fire the song back up, and we're gonna. I don't know if it'll work with a loop actually. Bring it back to the beginning and play. So this track is playing. Now, if you see this right here, every 4, it's going to change. So 1, 2, 3, 4, change. Well, it's hanging because these videos are way too intense for this. Let me drop this one in. No, that was the same one. There we go. So if you look at this, every time it hits that top one, it should change. 1, 2, 3, 4, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, change. So if I go 2s, it's gonna go 1, 2, change, 1, 2, change. Easy. So actually easy. I'll show you what I did to fix that, but it's potentially problematic. but I do kind of got to fix. Hopefully that explains that, but I don't honestly like the changing it to length. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is for there. I honestly always kept it on BPM, so we'll change it and we'll save it. Oh, I just saved it as length defines the length of the video in beats. So what does BPM define the length of? Giggity. Right. Yeah, manipulator, we get that, but if the BPM is defining how many beats it is, how's that different? All right, we're gonna come back around to this because we don't want to get stuck on it. If one of you guys has a definitive answer on that, go ahead. Yeah, so Cody, that's about what I was about to dive into with that. So if you go, there's another window we're gonna get into here. If you go, God damn it. If you go to MIDI and you turn on Mix Emergency in, and then you go into Serato, and let's close some of these down so they're not blocking our view. You go to MIDI, enable output lighting. What this is going to do is send out a MIDI signal that is a note on. Now, why is this problematic? Well, it's problematic because note on is different than a control change. So if I open my sample player, even though I don't have anything hooked up, and I hit play, we're still going to get... Did it not? Hold on. I know we can't hear it because I have the volume down. But I should have gotten my MIDI. Oh, it fired the wrong one. Hold on. Because I'm in a different bank. So we're going to go back into bank 1. So if you look down here, the log MIDI messages, when I click on this, come on. And I hit this a few times. See, we got note on and note off, and then I mapped those to these buttons. Even though I'm not actually hitting a physical button on a device of any sort, it's reading the Serato DJ Pro MIDI lighting out and is reading the note on. So if I hit the Rick Ross, God damn it, I gotta minimize this or something. It works, but I can't rapidly hit it because it's using note on, note off. So if I wait for it, MIDI is going to send note off. Then I hit it again, I get it again. So it's good for one shots. Like if I want to do my Pitbull, ow, it works. Like I click on the button here and it fires a Mix Emergency. Amazing, right? But it only works for stuff like this. If I want to do claps, like it's not going to refire it. So I can do like twerk claps, you know, or my haze, like my trap haze. Like, hey, like I can't rapidly hit it and have the video do what it's supposed to do. So the way to, and actually this is a conversation recently trying to get this. Vinyl manipulator, they're floating around. I made all these, and I gave them to a couple people to like sell or give away. If you remind me and connect with me, I have a bunch that I made. So that is how you do the workaround for mapping something without mapping the hardware. So if I hit sample player on my unit, no matter what unit I'm using, it's gonna go. And like I said earlier, that's the problem I run into, because one night I'm using a S11, one night I'm using a 1, one day I'm using a 72. So I can't, having those 3 mappings across the board and remembering to change them and disable certain it's just a pain in the ass. Like, so ideally I would love for Mix Emergency to be able to read the triggering of the Serato player. Like, so obviously I can't change, and this is something I asked, maybe somebody knows this. If we could change the MIDI out language of Serato, or if Serato would add proper MIDI out that you could augment, it would be amazing. Because then I'd just change that note out to a CC, you know, like a typical control change MIDI note, and then I could, you know, do rapid fire stuff, and all my banks would all, you know, would all do shit. Like, so I have things like this, like for, you know, sweepers for this one is like an Instagram one. Then I have this cheeky snap one that has like the ghost pop up and a little. I'll leave it up there so you guys can see it. These things like this are great to fire off with a sample player because you hit it once and you don't touch it again. But for musical things, oh, sorry. So Nick answered that. Yeah. I'll read this all out because I can read. BPM sets the BPM of the video, and Mix Emergency uses this for relative playback. Length scales the entire duration of the video to the number of beats. Yes, that does help. That explains it. So BPM, no matter what the video is going to change the BPM. So if you're playing a 90 BPM track, but you have the video set to 90, that's why the videos play slower or faster. Like, even though it's not going to play it at its native speed, right? Like, that's kind of how that works. Cody says, MIDI trick I use, the lights that light up, the little dashes, those can be MIDI mapped. Not for input, but output. So I map the lights to output MIDI messages to have Resolume change the BPM of Serato Mix Emergency. So in the effects sequencer, hold on, let's take a look here. Where's my Mix Emergency window? How did I do with it? This thing always disappears on me. It's probably underneath the video editor thing. Am I going crazy? Am I? There it is. So, sequencer. That's what you said, right? The effect sequencer? The lights that light up the little dashes, those can be MIDI mapped. So these? Or these? Type. Oops, one job synced. Or these? Let me light it. Let me fire the track back up again. Oh, you know what? We'll just play the other track. That'll be easier. So these little lights here, they can be as output lighting. So if you go into MIDI, and you select your MIDI output, you do what, Mix Emergency out. Sorry, I'm just okay. I see these here. Yeah. Long Beach. No worries, man. This will be saved. Good to know. I'm gonna have to dig into that one a little bit more too. I don't use Resolume anymore, but good to know. All right, so moving on. We have talked about. This thing's going nuts. You can see how fast the playback is on this. Like, it's because I'm in the I'm in the sequence bank. If I go back into this one and go to, if I just drag and drop, it's probably just be easier. The videos. We'll just throw a music video on there. And then we'll just shut off that effect so nobody has a heart attack or stroke. All right. So, thank you for the follow, Long Beach Lawn. Appreciate it, man. I haven't been to Long Beach in years. I used to live in Huntington Harbor, which are PCH and Warner. Lived for like 3 years. All right, moving on. So we covered everything now in the mixed emergency block. We covered everything in the overlay block. Hey! Thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. Pinky? Or is it pink? I shouldn't make fun of a name when somebody gives me a sub. That's just bad streaming. Wasn't really making fun of it. Just sometimes people say things weird. All right, so we talked about everything in this little window here, the mixed emergency window. We talked about everything in the overlays. We talked about everything in the presets. I believe we talked about everything in the control window. But I think what I'm going to talk about real briefly, we didn't really talk about. Did I just get Canadian? Did I say a boot? Is these effect parameters, and I feel it's something that's underutilized. And if you do some clever things, you can actually map some knobs to these knobs and do some pretty clever things. So let's take an effect here like edges. I like edges. Now you have a effect mix, which obviously, I'm on this deck. Let's go over here, edges, and we turn it up. And of course you get the edges. I'm gonna make this video just a little bit bigger, just so you guys can really see what's happening in this. So you can see here we get the edges, and obviously, like I said, you have a mix amount, but then again, you have your blend modes. So you can change this to, if you don't want it to be a certain way, you can change it. Like, and now obviously in this case, this video is relatively dark, but there's, like, we know what exclusion does, right? So when we hit this, it's gonna flip it backwards, right? So you can get some pretty cool effects. There's another one, luminosity is pretty cool. It's gonna flip it the other way as well. And actually, I don't know. Wow, Phoenix. So this is like a reverse strobe. So if we wanted that to be a reverse strobe, how do we do that? Well, if we wanted to go to the base, we add it to the base. We can have it go velocity and position. I didn't really ever dig too much, but you can actually map this knob, which doesn't really change a whole lot. And then manual, obviously the knob as well. This one isn't doing too much. So let's go to a different, actually, let's keep this effect. I want one with 2 parameters. That's why I was kind of stopping that one. Okay, this has got 2 parameters. If we look at this left one, it's going to change the RGB on the horizontal axis. And then the Y is going to change it on the vertical axis. So we can set this the way we want it and just leave it, and then just toggle this on and off with a button and have it do something like that. Or we can change the blend mode to something aggressive like we talked about before. That is not aggressive. That's actually subtle. There we go. That's pretty aggressive. It's really popping the RGB of this video, but it's just sitting there, right? So let's switch it to something using the grid. Now the grid, as you can see from this right here, is showing you the beat grid in Serato. And these elements that you move it on changes whatever parameter happens to be in play here. So in this left side, it's the horizontal parameter or the x-axis, right? So if we want this just to move a little, you can come up like this and just go from the second to the third thing, right? And can I add a thing in here? I don't think I can. You can also bring it in tighter like this, so it's a little more jerky, a little more snappy to the beat. And then we're gonna Mark, thank you for the follow, man. Why am I not getting notifications on that? I should have heard it. And then on this side, now to shut this down, you just click on this again. It'll go away. And then on this side, we're going to do this one via bass. So same thing. We can bring this over here like this. Make it short, or you can make it long and wide. You can have it go something like this. But actually, that's kind of dope like that. Or come up here and have it be short. There you go. So that's just using the RGB, and it's just adding a little bit of the snap to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this song up a little bit, so you can see how it actually goes to the beat. As like I said, it uses the the grids from Serato. Let me catch up on the chat. Oh yeah. Um, sorry, reading. It takes a little while to wrap your head around these. The best thing to do, my advice. Oh, you can also turn this down a little bit if it's too much. Just add a little something subtle. What I like to do is have things that are subtle and things that are crazy, and employ them when it's needed. Let's go to another one. Let's do. Trying to think of something that's a little intense. The shake. So we'll add shake, and now we're gonna add it on the grid, and it's gonna be a little too crazy, which is fine. But this is a movement effect, so we can bring down how intense this is by bringing it down a tad, and then how long that little rumble acts. So now we're just getting this little shake to the beat. So if we go back in and turn up our music, it is shaking to the kick. Very simple. And then of course, oh, I love this. This is great. I want this. So you go to your effects preset right here, go to page 2, click on that, save it. We'll give it a name, shake. So now I can turn shake on and off. Or can I? Oh, I need to make it empty. None. So I'm going to check this to none. And I'm going to save it to here. And now, oh, I just overwrote that. I'm an asshole. You get the idea, because I did it already with these. You can just go down the line with the different effects. And they will all just replace each other. There's the edge one I made, the edge strobe, then a regular strobe. Now you can do it here, or you can do it in the sequencer, which is the next thing we're going to dive into. The sequencer is insane, because these elements here that we were briefly looking at that allow us to change these parameters, invert is not one of them. This right here, you can add lines to this. Let me just close this out. This is the thing, like I said earlier. I teased it. I said, this is what is going to make you stand out compared to the other video DJs in your market. Let me just go back into this track real quick, and I just want to, okay, I just want to make sure it was a clean loop, and it was just like a kick snare kind of thing. So you have these 8 effect windows. You have the amount of beats and the rate. I'm going to start with one that I made, just so it's a little easier to explain. And that is a strobe. So as you can see here, I'm running 4 different effects. Hey, thank you with the gifted sub to Ratbone. Thanks, man. For life, yeah, we Tony, we are. It'll be here, and it might end up on YouTube too. I don't know. So as you can see here, I'm using a film projector. Film projector is what is giving this strobe like that little bit of, like, I don't know what to call it, like kind of like a grow from the middle as opposed to just on and off. And then you see here I have a flicker amount and a border amount. The next one is the actual strobe. Pretty simple, right? You just on and off. The BPM, you want it going right to it, so it's right on beat with the music. The motion blur is, if you look at the very beginning, you see there's a little tiny blur that happens. You can see it actually fades away. So the blur starts up here at this line, which sometimes it's percentages, sometimes it's not, and then it ends here. If I was to change the angle, it would actually like make the blur, instead of happening straight, happen, on an angle, obviously. And then the brightness, that's what's adding the fade on the backside of the strobe. Now, these are all straight lines. Pretty simple stuff. Let me go to another one. I think I have some curved lines on. Okay. So as you can see here, I added a curved line. And what that does is it takes the hard edge off of some of the movements. And you can add points within this. And then it's been a bit. Command. Hold on. It's been a bit since I've done this. So Option. Control. Shift. It's been a minute. I apologize. Shift gives you micro control function. Help me out here, Nick. It's been a minute since I've actually drawn a curved line. Oh, there we go. Alt Option. So when you hold Alt Option, it allows you to pull that line and make it curved. And I actually added way too many lines here, so way too many points. So I'm going to get rid of this point. And then we're going to bring this one out, and I'm going to add another one here, and I'm going to curve it. So it allows you to add curve lines, and then you can connect the curve line like this. So now if you look at the way this tracks, I should add another one on the end here. It's a smooth movement. It's not janky or jerky, and it allows you to your elements that are happening to be a little bit more smooth. One of the examples would be, I think this one I did it on as well. No, that's pretty straight up. That's pretty straight up. That's you don't have to do on all of them apparently. Apparently, oh, these are all straight too. I didn't do it on all of them, and for good reason, because you don't need to. But let's build one from scratch, eh? I'm being Canadian again, even though I'm not. So I'm gonna get rid of one. I love the cropper. I'm not getting rid of that one. This one's a little intense. I hardly ever use it, so let's trash that one. And I'm gonna start over by unticking these boxes. If you've never used a sequencer or a drum machine before, this is just I'm on Blastvids. I think a lot of us are on Blastvids. So Cody, the way I use them, I have my preset banks mapped, and then I have these buttons mapped, and I can just select them as needed. But honestly, I've gotten away from using my iPad so much, and I just click on them because there's a bunch, you know. Hey, Steve, what's good, man? Thanks for stopping by, dude. So we're gonna build one of these sequences from scratch, and we're gonna it might not come out perfect because doing these effect sequences is a constant refinery. You know what I mean? Like, you'll make one, you'll like it, and then you use it out and you're like, oh man, that didn't look exactly how I wanted it. You come back again, you do it again. So let's just pick an effect in here that we're gonna throw on here. Let's do the motion blur. And then our mix, we're gonna draw two lines, and we're gonna have this basically start hot and then trail off across. So basically, it's weird. The one tends to happen here, like between the second and third line. The amount is about where we like it, and we're actually gonna spin the angle all the way. So now let's turn that on every other beat and see what it looks like. So you see that little shake that's happening? So now we're going to go in and refine it. We're going to put this curve on this. So make that nice and smooth. We want it to go the other way. There we go. And then we want a little bit more on it. So if I go short, you're just getting a little tiny zip, zip. But if I go way out like this, it's actually going to trail longer. So I'm going to add another button in the middle here, and we're actually going to bend this up so we get a little bit more on it. Like that. All right, and let's move the angle this way maybe. So it's still doing it horizontal. Let's go down this way, see what it does. All right, so now it's at like a, it's like sideways a little bit. And I still want a little bit more on this. All right, so now we got that pop into the beat with that blur. I still don't love the amount, so. Okay, so now we got that blur, and if we want it to be more intense, we can speed it up, you know, or we can slow down. And like I said before, it's always gonna go to the beat, even though I have it set to like a real fast. In this situation, you have it like this. I can't hear it. I should actually put this on my speakers so I can hear. I wouldn't say I'm earning, but fair enough. Hold on. So I'm gonna read the chat because I got behind again. AP, are you doing VJing out on the vineyard? Yeah, Nick. I found that the snap point for like a good kick is like a little ways into the box, for lack of better terms. All right, so let's add a second element now. So we added that snap. Now let's add some sort of movement. So maybe we'll do the cube rotate, and we'll put this on the opposite, and we'll figure out what we want to do with it after that. So that's a little intense, right? Like they don't really make sense together. So let's adjust fire there and do, I want something with movement though. So maybe we'll do scale. There we go. Now that's not what we want. We're going to get rid of these things, and we're actually going to do, so this, whatever the scale is, will trail off at the end. Because so think of the mix is the opacity of the effect. So we want this to really hit on the front end and only the front end. And then we're going to put a slider here. That's a little too much, so we're going to bring it back a little. And like Nick just said, coming off the front makes it pop a little better. And then let's take a look at this one. This is the other axis. That's a weird one. Actually, I kind of dig that. So let's add another dot here and bring this down towards the end. And we're going to mix this out just a little bit so it's not so intense. We just wanted to show up a little bit. So, you know, it's still a little intense. It's cool and all, but you see how, like, we'll bring this intensity up so you can see what I'm talking about. It's too much on top. So how would I make this be a little more subtle? Let's take the blend mode to soft light. No, let's do a different one. Maybe exclusion? Nah, maybe, where's the one I'm looking for? Color dodge? Yeah. Now bring this back down. Bring this back down. Bring that mix down so it's not so intense. Come on, grab me the corner. There we go. And let's bring this axis up a little bit too, because it's a little intense. There we go. Now we can bring this mix up a little bit and have it linger a little bit longer. There we go. So now we have two elements, and let's put a rounded corner on this. We'll bring this over here, and we'll bring this over here. We'll come up like that. There we go. That's got a nice little down and up on it. And we'll turn the music up. And we'll see that mouse does not control that computer. And we'll see how that sounds. Now I can't hear it, so hopefully you guys can. But you can see the idea here of it snapping to the music. And again, if we get a buildup happening, we just hit that and it starts firing away. Pretty dope. And let's add one more element, because we can do 8. So let's take this and let's do something. I'm thinking I'm gonna do spectrum panels. That might be cool if we do something with that. Let's do a phoenix on this one, and let's see what that looks like. Let's put that on. Nope, we didn't want that like that. Why did I do? Oh, because I picked 4. You want to do 1. Sorry, my bad. So deselect the other ones. That is intense, right? And it's actually going on the opposite beat we want. We want it on this beat. There we go. Now, let's reset these. So we're going to delete these other ones that are existing already. Remove it. Remove it. Remove it. And this gain is going to show you what exactly is happening. 916 Junglist with the sub. That's it. Vinyl Manipulator. All you got to do is map something to those rate knobs. And let's get rid of the mix. No, I hit the wrong button. And we're going to get rid of that one. And that's going to give us a flat mix. And now we can tail this off like we did the other ones. Or, you know, we can even do a spike where we think the kick is. So that's only going to hit like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with the gain. I'm going to bring this way up here like this. And add a second one here. And then this, I think, changes the amount of knobs, right? Oh, the size. Oh, that's pretty dope, actually. So let's have this do the opposite. We'll have this be a like that. There we go. You know what? I like the Phoenix one, but it's a little aggressive. There we go. That's cool. And of course, you can rename them if you want to. So now, again, you map these and you can do your own little build-up with it. And again, you turn the music up and this all snaps because this is all driven by the Serato beat grid. You can also slow it down. So if you want it to be slower, you know, early in the night stuff, that's fine too. And then of course you can extend these out. So if you're a video DJ and you're of the rare situation where like you're an opener, you can make some really cool like length at 16 ones using like diffuse effects and, you know, color effects, and at least your stuff will go to the content you're playing, but it won't be like overpowering. You know what I mean? You can put it together a real smooth sort of like opening set. So there's a little stupid thing we made. We made it pretty quick. I was able to show you guys how to draw some curved lines and what they do, as well as how to basically make a video build up, which works really good. For example, a very simple one I have is the strobe, right? It's just, that's it, just on, and the rate going up, ramping up towards the end. But you do a build and you have your build. Or another way to do this, if you don't want to do all that, you can go to strobe beat effect, and it's going to do it right here for you. And then you just turn this knob. Nobody have a stroke, please. You map this knob and you can just do, you can actually, when you get good enough, like have this track with it. Pretty dope. I have this knob mapped to my microphone to volume, you know. Now, hey, Rekordbox has video. It's not that great, but hey, the first bits of the night. You guys are starting to see the new bit things that I made. They're pretty dumb. That used to be something else, and someone pointed out that the thing that it was had nothing to do with my channel. So now all the beat increments, the 69 is still there. Oh, the shout out thing is still there, which we got working too. Bill, do you have putting clips back on though? I can't spell. Let's see if this works. You probably don't have clips. I thought you had clips off, so it might not work. Yep, see? And that's the fix I made if somebody doesn't have clips. Yeah, the 69, I'm bringing back all the other ones too. But the 69 bits is still the Bill and Ted thing. But the other ones are all different now. For those that don't know, I completely rebuilt my page from scratch, and I'm kind of digging it because like right now, like my GPU is nice and low. What's funny is of everybody I know, you play the music that seemingly would be the less likeliest to get struck down. But I get it. Evidence. Destroy the evidence. I get it. All right, let's move on. So we talked about the effect sequencer and what it does, how to use it. I can't, even though I haven't done, I was actually considering getting a new iPad and learning TouchOS C because I miss being able to just fire these things off whim. I used to have an iPad mini, which is a 10-inch iPad, so it fit right at the head of my mixer. And I had it on a nice little 45-degree angle, and I could just fire things off, at will. Now, because I don't bring that, I have to go to my computer and click on things, which obviously is invasive when it comes to mixing. Of course, when it comes to sample players, it's the worst, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful segue, if I do say so myself, into the sample player. The sample player allows you to fire off either regular full-blown video files, or in this case, as we spoke about earlier, HAP codec files, which are alpha channel files. So, well, Billy, so you can actually, on the 72, there's custom pads, so you can map them whatever you want. I asked, Will and I got beef. Don't even get me started, AP. I asked them to put a screen in that is just buttons. Like, go into your screen on the 72 or the S11, and it's just MIDI buttons that don't interfere with anything else. So you have all your buttons. I'm not a layer person. It's taken me the better part of 2 years to get out of cue points. Like, cue points and loop rolls are the only layers I go to, and it's just like, man, I know there's 16 other layers in this mixer of shit I can do, and I just don't. Just layers just don't. So if you gave me, it's a touch screen, so just give me 16 buttons, they won't do it. But I do, but loops are loops, so that would be a thing. The best thing to do is get an external controller, or if you guys donate enough money to Nick, maybe he'll build an iOS app that for Mix Emergency that you can put on an iPad. But don't quote me there. I'm throwing words in his mouth that I know he doesn't want to hear. But yeah, mapping, the mapping on this is insane. So you can map anything you want. Like I said, on my 72 has more extra surfaces than my S11, so I'm able to map all sorts of stuff. I actually mapped my knobs on the front here. So you can see this is actually my volume button on my mixer, and it's changing my parameters. So yeah, it's all possible. And then I think even my mic switch I mapped to something. So it's all mappable. I mean, I'm glad that the 72 has the user-defined things, but it's just like, I know we're asking a lot. We're such a small user group that like anything we ask for, they're just kind of like, yeah, we'll see. Hey, Nick, I mean, why not? Honestly, before I go any further, is it pinky or is it pink? I don't want to say the wrong thing. A touchscreen is probably the best because you can make it exactly how you want. My iPad mini, the only reason why I stopped using it is that it's not supported anymore across any operating systems. I can't even put Twitch on it. It's so old. But with an application like TouchOS C or Lemur, you can actually build the exact buttons, knobs, sliders that you want. So mine had sliders for the effects. It had buttons for all my samples. It had... Okay, gotcha. Thanks. It had everything on it because I built it. And it's TouchOS C and Lemur are very simple. It's basically a canvas that you define and you say, give me a knob, give me a slider, give me a button, give me 16 pads, whatever you want. And then once you make it, you map it to Mix Emergency. And because you're not doing anything terribly musical with it, it doesn't have to be super tactile like a cue point. It can be, it can have a 500 millisecond delay and you're not going to die because of it. The other cool thing is now like you used to have to connect it over a private network, but now you can connect it via Bluetooth. You can do your own network, and I think they even have like a proprietary connection method now for like Lemur. Sorry, not Lemur. I have Touch OSC on my phone because I use it to control what's it called? I gotta find my music button. Um, I use it to control sound switch. So, and I don't know where it is, but I have it on here. I swear to God, and I do. Where's OSC? Oh, there it is. So this is a simple thing I made for sound switch, and it's just buttons and then like one slider for a strobe. So when I'm running sound switch, I can create a white strobe, a lights off, so I can do a blackout, three major colors, and then I can hit strobe, which is just a temporary strobe, and then this is a strobe latch, so I can change the strobe rate of the lights. Um, Put this on an iPad, it's a wrap. It's amazing. No, no, not at all, man. Oh, thank you, Nick. See, somebody did it. Appreciate you, man. I don't hear it. So, I should probably put it on so I can hear it. Um, yeah, if you have a big enough iPhone, you could probably get away with putting it on your phone. But here's what I found about trying to do it with your phone is you lose your phone for the night. You don't want to do that. So I used to use uh, not a Wampa. Um, I used to use the Korg Nano Control. And hey, thanks for the 100 bits, man. Did I not get a 100 bits notification? What the? Oh, you know why I didn't? Because I made a 100 bits thing and it's not done yet. I appreciate all the same, man. So this is what I started with for my controller. Knobs. There's knobs, buttons, and the sliders on it. This is outdated. This thing's literally from 2013. I even put a sticker with my name on it. That's how lame that is. But they make all these for like $60 now. There's new ones from Korg and Akai make them as well. Um, you can just they're all MIDI. So you just thing about that is you have to plug it in and you have to leave it plugged in. Um, you know why? Because Billy, I was gonna make a 100 bits notification. I just haven't got to it yet. Um, so I turned off 100 bits. Hey, it showed up there. And there's a second way to do it. There we go. Um, so yeah, the thing about having a MIDI controller is you have to plug it into a computer, and as we've said before, you're limited on USB space. So an iPad might seem like a lot of money for something as simple as this, but I promise you do get life out of an iPad more than using it as a controller. And you don't have to buy a 2022 iPad Pro. You could probably get a 2 or 3 year old used one. Just make sure it's good. Um, what doesn't work? No, the 100 bits don't work. I know that. I know it's not that it doesn't work. It's just I didn't make a 100 bits one yet. I should just go in and just turn off the 100 bits thing. I can do that in like 10 seconds. Um. You bastard! You're gonna start a hype train during this. Me learning and teaching. I'm gonna turn off the 100 bits thing though, because if somebody else does 100 bits and it doesn't show up, I'm gonna be mad. I hate that. Let me see. Alert box. All stuff I can do super quick. Cheer amounts. And go into variables. Where are the variables? Show me if I forget where the variables are. Cheer alert. Variations. There we go. And then I got to shut off 100. There we go. So there we go. They should all work now. There we go. Hey, why is there letters on letters though? That's weird. Hopefully that'll work itself out. Well, I gotta save it. That's why. Hold on. I'm working it out. Give me a second, guys. It does take a second. Um, Now it should work. If it doesn't, I don't know then. I shut off the 100 bits. That's all right. Nobody, this isn't a scheme. I promise you. Thank you guys for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. See? Told you I fixed it. Little Cesar Romero action. Little nod. The guys that don't know, I'm a huge comic book nerd. I did go shopping this week, not to derail the conversation too much, but we did go shopping. Hey, Fader, thanks for the gifted sub. That's your boy, right? Now we can stop. I successfully bamboozled everybody to give me bits and start a hype train. All right, let's move on. There is a hype train going on, so if this is your first time on Twitch, or I know some people came over for the first time, this basically is how you support the channel and me. And you know, it's pennies on the dollar, but it's appreciated. Dudes. Nice. Thanks, man. Gotta get that 69 up there. I need to put the that audio on.
69 dudes.
You knew I had to get the 69 working. That was the first one I did when I restarted. Thank you guys. Yeah, so if you I know some of you guys haven't been on Twitch before. It's how, you know, I get a little 69's on there? What are you talking about? You just did it. You gifted a sub to Spire. Nice. Thank you, dude. Yeah, these are gonna go away too. The stupid videos that you go. One day, I don't know when, maybe it'll be some sort of thing that I'll do. I'm going to release the full like 20-minute clip of me down here in my basement making all those videos. For those, they're so bad. They're so bad. I honestly don't even know if I could share them. They're so ridiculous. No, I had pants on. It's just, I was just doing stupid dances and making stupid faces and acting. It was just bad, man. It was really bad. I watched it with Nancy, and both of us just had tears running down our faces. It was so cringy embarrassing. And you saw what I ended up with. Those are the best ones. That says anything else about anything else I did. It was horrible. All right, so hype train level 2. I appreciate it, guys. Let's move on with this. We talked about the effect sequencer. We talked about sequences. We talked about MIDI. We covered the effects and how to get into them and how to set them. And then most importantly, make sure you save them. If you come up with something dope, like let's just do a quick zoom one right here, right? We'll do the grid. We'll give it an amount. Oh, I'm on the wrong deck. So we'll do zoom, and we'll put it on the grid. Again, if you want it to go to the music, you have to put it on the grid. You can do bass, as you notice here. It's a little similar, but the cool thing about the bass one is if the song hits a breakdown, it's going to minimize the effect. So whereas grid, it's just going to stay there to the beat no matter what. So you're like, oh, this is dope. I like it, but it's too aggressive. Let's bring it down a little bit. And let's put a little snappier maybe. Boom, there we go. Oh, this is dope. I love it. Let me put a big glow on it. Nah, I don't really like that. Let's do the Phoenix. We know it's white. That's intense. Soft light. All right. Yeah, this is great. I love it. Minimize this. Go down to effects. Go to a preset. Click on it. Click save. Now it's saved in here. Thank you with a gifted sub to Sir Lancelot. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely its own little pocket of the DJ world. And there's still guys out there like, oh man, video DJing, it's dead. I'm like, dude, I do it 5 nights a week. I think it's really market dependent. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in the market where nobody is doing the stuff that I just showed you for the last 2 hours, then 3 hours, Jesus Christ, then yeah, there's a good reason why video might not be doing well in your market, because there are rooms like we talked about at the beginning where just playing music videos and DJing well is enough, it's sufficient. But it's not going to make an owner or people be like, wow, like I've never seen anything like that. This is pretty dope. Like, so doing this stuff helps the video DJ culture or brand, for lack of better terms, grow. You know what I mean? If there's a couple video DJs in your market and they're doing outside the box stuff, or I shouldn't say outside the box, but if you're in a market where people aren't doing this stuff, then it is outside the box. And you're maybe using Jam Text or Fly Boost, and people are like, yo, this one guy comes in, man, he plugs into the video screens and he's not just playing, a video, like it's doing wild stuff to the music. And I don't have lights in this venue because I'm a bar, but when he plays, he puts the videos on strobe and the whole room lights up, and girls are sending their pictures to the screen through Jam Text, and he's writing back to them and doing birthday things with their pictures on the screen. Like, it's all the stuff that, like, I'm never, ever, ever going to say that just DJing isn't enough, because it is. It really is. There's plenty of venues and rooms I have where I just DJ. But giving the opportunity to implement these things are really what push that up. Like it's really the thing that makes, I've had owners say, I don't want anybody else but you in here. And it has nothing to do with my DJing. It has to do with being tech savvy. You know what I mean? Like being able to be like, oh, sure, like this is happening today. Have them get me their logo. Have them get me some pictures. I'll work it into my set. So when you do that, like I did a gig for Verizon and they specifically booked me because of video, and I did all the bells and whistles, and they're all, they were drooling the whole time over it. And these are tech guys. So bring the right tool to the battle and you'll succeed. And if you're in a market that's hurting with video, step it up and be like, hey, listen, I know you've seen video before, but let's do this a couple nights and see, all right, moving on. Soapbox over. We've gone through the sequencer, so we'll close that out. These windows are what I keep open when I play. We were talking about the sampler before we got derailed. So we have an output, basically opacity knob. So if I throw, let me find something here that will stay up. So we throw Spidey up, we can bring the opacity down and mix them out a little bit. Pretty standard stuff. These again are HAP files, which is a codec, which I think might be Mac only, but I'm not sure. I've never seen it on PC. I also wonder if, I think I mentioned this earlier, Nick, if we're going to move to WebM or something, because I feel like I haven't seen much about HAP, and it's probably going to become phased out, maybe. Here's the cool thing, right? We're going to animate one of these. Yes, we are going to animate one of these. Didn't think you could do that, could you? You can. So, one of the samples I have, one of the ones that most of my friends got this, absolutely love it. You can't hear it at the moment, but he goes, oh my God, I love this song. That's not what he actually says. I rotoscoped another clip, but it looks like he says, oh my God, I love this song. The sample, the audio sample, is the Homer saying, oh my God, I love this song. But it's kind of whack that he just pops up and disappears, right? So what can we do to make that more interesting? Go in here. Here you have the play mode, just like the sample player. You have the blend mode. So once again, if you throw something in here that doesn't have an alpha channel, you might be able to get rid of it. If it does, you click this, money. Now when you're editing, it's a good idea to hit loop because it'll just loop it. And this is where it gets fun. For this part, you don't really need to pay much attention to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down just a tad. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this timeline right here to have him pop up and then move off screen. So this one right here moves it left to right. So I want him to end about right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple dots here. And then I'm going to put one right here. And at the end of what he says, he's going to zip off screen. Oh, the wrong way. So I wanted to go this way. I need to go a little earlier. So if you think of this as a timeline, and think of this as like basically animation, sort of like a keyframe. There we go. So now I want this to go a little faster. There we go. So now he says his thing, zips off screen. Now we're gonna make him pop on screen. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. You need to figure out which way goes which. So up probably goes up, down probably goes down. So I'm gonna have him start down off screen, and I'm gonna have him pop up on screen. You can even have him do a little easing by making this go down a little bit after. So we'll go here to here, like that. Maybe even a little faster. So we move it more forward. See how that looks? Boop. That's a little fast. So let's maybe bring this out a little more. We do want it to go to the top of where he is, which is at 0, I believe. Let's see. Yep, that's pretty good right there. Maybe a little higher. Maybe a little higher. Maybe a little higher. Jesus. God, how high does it go? Oh, that's the der. Sorry, my bad. It's too high. So that is flat right there. So we want this to go up like that. No, we don't want it that high. My bad. It's been a while since I did this part. There we go. Little pop-up. Boop. We can even round that off a little bit to make it not so harsh. So again, hold down Option. Puts a little rounding on it. Like that. There we go. Pops in. We can even maybe get that down a little bit more so you don't see the bottom of his shirt so much. That's still needs to be down a little bit more. We don't want to see the bottom line underneath him. Right? We don't want to see. Boom. So we just animated this video file to this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. We're going to turn our audio back up. And I'm going to go over here to my computer real quick. I'm just going to turn this audio down. And I got to load the sampler. I think it's this one. Did it not play in Serato? Hold on a second. Not that one. It's this one. It's not playing the actual audio though. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I probably have the sampler set to the wrong thing. Hold on. Let me go in here. Sample player. I probably have it set to not aux. Yeah, so I need to have it on aux because I'm using the 672. So now if I... Oh man, I love this song. 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 Hopefully that worked. Did you guys hear? Were you able to hear it? I think you were. And you saw it. So now you get an idea of exactly how to use your sample player. And I was using the sample player pads. And that was the default sample player. That was not a custom pad. Did I miss a question here? I apologize. Let me go back. Is there a keyboard command to help you snap when moving, placing grid points? No, but if you hold shift, it's like a micro movement. You know what I mean? It's like let me get back into one of those real quick and show you. So just moving it around regular, it's fast, but if you hold shift, oh wait, maybe it's not shift. Was it function? I just did it. It was doing it for me. There was one that seemed like it was moving it smoother. Well, I guess I'm crazy. I thought one of them was like a smoother, like macro movement or something. I guess I'm wrong. Um, I think an option to snap to grid would probably be good, but I find it's better to just have it free moving. Um, all right, so that's the basic. I lay out samples. You got 4 banks, just like the other player. You have a stop button. You have an eject button, and as we just explored, you can also send them out to Siphon or NDI alone. Um, oh, actually, does this hold on? Does this mean I can bring NDI in to a sample deck? That would be crazy. I've never done that. Oh, it is shift, Nick. I thought it was shift. It just didn't seem to be doing anything there for me. Um, Let me open it back up again. Maybe it's just that particular one. So scale. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so if you hold shift, see how it gives me like a much more defined controller. If I don't hold shift, but if I do, it's like a micro movement thing, which allows you to I suggest one thing you should do is pay attention to the percentage numbers or the increment numbers on the side. It helps you. Oh, so wait, hold on. So can I run my Mevo into this? Let me. Which one is this? Hold on. Let me. NDI. Oh, wait a minute. Why did it open that? Oh shit! I just. You just blew my mind. Wow. My wireless NDI camera. No wires, see? Nothing connected. I had no idea you could do this. You learn something new every day. This makes things. Hold on. Hold on. I'm thinking, yo, this is got some which one happening here? This is crazy because um I can make this go to the, could I make this go to the music somehow? Right? I could, right? If I put this on beats? Oh, dude, you don't even understand what this is gonna do. Folks, friends, Romans, countrymen. Yes. Well, hold on. Is that playing music? Let me make sure this is playing music. It is playing music. Okay. Um, Hold on a second here. Let's scale it down a little bit, right? And then maybe add a little. Oh, dude, I didn't. Mm, bro, this is gonna be insane. What I can do now? Oh my god, I can. You know what else you could do with this now? Ready for this? You can do. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. Let's scale this to 0. No, I keep trying to delete it. It's just staying. Let's make this a bottom camera, and then hold on. That's not how fast I wanted that to go. Um, uh, you can have a little sliding camera of your camera on top of, so I could have this running by all the time, bro. And I could add a little pinch in the middle, so it blows up a little in the middle. Actually, this is going to be 18 too, so I want that to get bigger as it gets to the middle. Let's have a little grow. And then we're going to add a little grow here. Dude, you don't even understand. So we want it to come in and go up a little. That's a little too much, but you get the idea. Dude, I had no idea. Again, this is another thing that people are going to be like, holy shit. How's he doing that? You know, kind of thing. It's not an app, it's NDI. So this is a Mevo Start, which Mevo, the company, just got bought by Logitech. It's just this piece here. This is actually a thing I bought off of Amazon. It's a tripod slash selfie stick, so you can use it as both. And the reason why I got this one is because it's got a hot shoe for a light. Do you have any tutorials to make your own transitions? So, Nick, do you want to? Where are we at with the transition maker? Is that still a thing? God, this is still blowing my mind. And then Pinky. So basically, you download the free NDI virtual tools, which you go here. I have all these. You don't need all of these NDI tools. They all come together, but all you need is a virtual input. This should actually show me. Yeah. So this is showing me what's happening with NDI. Why do I have two windows now? So once you have something getting, this sends NDI out natively. So you just pick NDI, pick your resolution, sends it out, turn on the virtual input, and then I actually was running it through the video input or NDI input, and then Nick told me that, hold on, does this also mean, let me stop this here. If I do this, bro, hold on. Bro, I didn't even think of this. Yeah, so remember, Nick, we were doing that transition maker thing? Like, I don't know whatever happened. So now with this, because I put the camera on NDI via a channel, I can actually use my effects sequencer. Or can I? It's not really doing much of anything. Oh wait, I don't have a track on that side. Let me load this on this side. Hold on. Let me eject this and let me do it on this side. So go to NDI, add this camera. Dude, this is amazing. This is amazing. So now I can use all these effects on my camera in venues. This is awesome, dude. You don't even understand how exciting this is. All my sequences, like putting people on the screen with this happening to their faces and shit. This is huge. Now here's a question. When I load my next track, it's going to boot this out, right? So let me go into Serato, load another track. No, it keeps it. Oh, dude, this is amazing. I didn't know this was a thing. So you learn something new every day. And you can do subtle too. This is my subtle blur. This is amazing. I am so... Okay, so there's a lock. Did I have it on? Because it didn't actually... Oh, dude. You, Nick, should partner with Mevo. Because this opens up so much. Absolutely amazing. I'm so excited that I found that. And then I can eject it, right? Boom. Other question, on the previous version, we could record in WAV. Right now, we only do M4A. Any chance of choice of recording the audio? I'm totally gonna have to rewatch this video. Okay. Long Beach, this should stay as a VOD. I'll keep it as a VOD, and I'm gonna try to also send it to my YouTube. So if you prefer one over the other. But yeah, man, that I didn't know you could do that. And it's just because you get complacent. Yeah, I'll put Billy, that's how I send Mix Emergency to my streaming computer. So you just go Window, Preferences, Advanced Sharing, sorry. And then you can do Siphon. I have it off right now because I'm going HDMI so we can do the extended screen. But then it also does RGBA alpha channel over NDI. So yeah, it's pretty dope. I mean, the mix emergency record feature is pretty straightforward. And they've really streamlined like the rendering process as well. I thought, and let's do this again. I might have to install this real quick. Let's replace this recording. So yeah, so this is picking up my audio through the 72, but I should be able to, let me just close this out real quick. We didn't do this before because I didn't install the plugin, but I should be able to, I guess I have to install the Serato virtual audio, which I didn't have on. I didn't have it because I've never needed it. I've never needed it because I run it into my computer. So now that I have this available for other applications, just as good measure, I always, after I do something like that, I like to restart. So we'll go back in. We'll do a recording because I've never done this before. I just, in theory, have done it, which means I haven't done it. Device, Serato Virtual Audio. There it is. Ah, disappeared on me. So you record for 5 seconds. Well, we'll record for 10 seconds. Sabrina Lily, oh my God. Wow, why? I thought I had black behind the thing. How are you? Thank you for the raid. Amazing. I haven't had a raid in a minute. I know, super long. How you been? We're actually not DJing. We're actually doing a tutorial on this video DJ software. And I actually recorded for 30 seconds. So we're gonna finish that. Sorry. Thank you so much for raiding. It was amazing. The new shout out works, which I'm super happy about. Nick says the M4A uses a lossless compression, so you can convert it to WAV file for now. I just wanted to see what, when you go into export, because we didn't look into this. We're gonna go into our recording right here, and then you have presets. So let's do highest quality. I thought you could, was it custom? Do you do custom? Yeah, custom. Compression, H24, QuickTime, audio, AAC, uncompressed. Oh, so uncompressed does M4A, not wave. Gotcha. So this is how you export, and I'm not going to do it now because why? It's a 30-second thing, but you just record your set, do an hour or two, come home, make sure your computer's plugged in, make sure maybe you have a fan on it, can't hurt, right? And export it, and when you wake up in the morning, it should be done. Pretty dope. And now that Serato added this make audio available to other applications, you don't have to do all the crazy workarounds with the mixers. It's all streamlined. It's basically like virtual cable. It's pretty damn cool. So yeah, so where in the south are you? You don't have to tell me exactly where, obviously, but where? How far south? Is Florida, or are we like, Arkansas, backwoods, Texas? Ah, so Southwest. I used to live in San Antonio when I was in the Army. I don't mind Texas. Texas is nice. There's nothing wrong with being the Yankee. Down there. That's what people called me when I was down there. Well, thank you so much for coming by. This is super nerdy shit, so I apologize. If you're not a video DJ, you're like, what is this crap? So moving forward, not to get around too much, we are, hold on. The problem is when we have some crash recording, we could retrieve the audio with the .wav files. When we record MVR, we don't have a solution to retrieve it. Okay. No, I used to live on Fort Sam. I was when I went to medic school, so I was there for like 2 years. So it would be cool if we added wave as an output. I guess that could be an option. I'm sure Nick would know more. I never got to play down there. Renee G and I used to pal around online in the DJ chat forums. I know he was down there. We hung out once. Yeah. Make sure you hit up Nick about that because crashes. That's one thing that we can talk about with the software is it rarely crashes, and when it does, they're pretty damn cool about getting shit fixed. Like they don't just blow it off. I shouldn't say they. Nick doesn't just blow it off. He's pretty good about fixing anything that's wrong with it, which is why it's such a great piece of software. All right, let's go through our windows, make sure we covered them all. I know there's a couple other ones in here that we did not go over yet, but we are going to touch on everything because this is all inclusive. Info, of course, as Nick mentioned earlier, this will give us some insight on what your computer's doing when you're playing your video files. I guess if you're troubleshooting, it's a good thing to have up, as well as the the messages, which will also let you know if you load something and it, you're like, oh, every time I play this song, this happens. Well, this is why. Because, actually, I want to see if, I wish I could make that, Nick, hear something. Is there a way that we could have this, instead of being this white thing, be NDI? I'm not going to use that as NDI, but never mind. That's stupid. Scratch that. Again, guys, if you have questions about the software, fire away. Now's the time to get the best answer you're probably going to get. If not from me, from some of the other users in the chat, or maybe even Nick, if he feels like throwing out an answer. You know what's funny is I didn't wear my Mixed Emergency shirt. I should have. It might be time. You know what, Nick? You know what it might be time for? It might be time for a shirt with the new kind of rounded logo. Maybe just something like that, or maybe I don't know how it would look, but I think it's time for another shirt. We're overdue. And the thing is, you can make them anywhere, as you guys know. I just made a Revenge of the Nerds shirt that's amazing. It's the first shirt that I've sold more than 5 of. And what's funny is 3 of them went to people that I don't know, which is crazy. So if you go to the Streamlabs link in the chat, actually I can pull it up on my computer so you can see it. Hold on a second. I'm really proud of this because it is a total bite on the classic Supreme shirt. Let me just minimize this window real quick. Take me to the store. We'll look at the Hot Girl one. So it is the Revenge of the Nerds 2 cast, not Revenge of the Nerds 1, with the Heroes logo down the bottom. And I've actually sold like 5 of them. I was kind of shocked. I did a champion crew neck sweatshirt and a couple different cuts. There's like a fit cut. There's also like a champion men's like square cut. If you're like me and you're shaped like a pear, you can still rock that and feel good about yourself. Some of the other stuff I made, I did a kind of a play on Friday the 13th, the Friday I'm in Love, and if you look really close, the eye is a machete. And for my DJ nerds, you guys will appreciate this one. Spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors; they dip. Like if you're not like a Southern '90s hip hop fan, you will have no idea what that means. But it's one of those shirts that when I wear it and people see it, they're like, and that's really what I go for with my shirts. Is like somebody sees it and goes, "Oh, okay, I know what you did there." Here's a question: does anybody know what this one is? Does anybody know? Dungeon Master's Guide, 12-sided died, Kitty Pride, Nightcrawler, Ace Frehley, Peter Chris. If you look at the checkbox, it kind of gives away what it is. But if does anybody know what this is? This is a super nerd dive here. I don't want to say it before anybody guesses it. I'll give you a hint. It's a song. And the first chorus, well, the first verse is all these things. No, so it's a song by Weezer called "In the Garage," and in the verse, he lists all the things that he has in his garage, and that's obviously D&D, X-Men, and Kiss. And when he sings a song, he like lists them off. That's why I did the checkbox. And if you look, you can't really tell it, but that checkbox is actually the cover of the album from the Weezer Blue album that the song is on. Again, super nerdy. You know, I'm in a room right now full of 20 some odd legitimate nerds, and I say that with all the possible love in the world. I got a Break shirt I made as well, Breaks for Life shirt and Left Turn shirt. But the Revenge of the Nerds hero shirt is the one I'm most proud of. So if you are interested, I made them pretty much as cheap as you can make them. And they're in the Streamlabs merch link that I just posted up there. So that's enough of that. So, all right. So we talked about messages. That'll let you know if you're getting shit in your files. Like if you, this doesn't happen so much anymore, but back in the day, some of the remixers didn't really know how to render shit. So they'd put like no keyframes and it was just bedlam. Not so much anymore. I do occasionally load a track. We can try. Let's bring up messages real quick. And let's load a few tracks. I'll drag and drop a few tracks. Some video files in that I think might be rendered poorly. I gotta go back a little ways. Yeah, so maybe like this one. And then we'll load this one. And if any of these are bad, we'll go back here. These are some hap codec ones. So now we'll pull our messages back up. Okay, there we go. Look at distance between keyframes is greater than recommended. So whoever rendered these, or that one, the Zone Bots and the Arthropod Abstract 4K, didn't put enough keyframes in their export settings. And what that means is when you are trying to buffer through a video front or back, it doesn't go frame by frame, it jumps to the keyframes. Otherwise, you would have to render every single frame in a video out. So that being too far apart can stress your computer out. So if you're having issues, open up messages. Also open up info. We showed the media bank, we showed the output, we talked about the sample player, we talked about the mixer effects, sequencer, presets, overlays, parameters. Parameters 2 and QC overlays were something I didn't know much about. Nick informed me it actually has to do with, and now after he mentioned it, I remembered, you could actually put commands or options and knobs and stuff in your parameters. So if you're using Quartz and you put things in it to adjust, you could use the parameter things. Again, it's a very antiquated piece of software that I don't even know how to get my hands on anymore. So if you're messing with Quartz still, good on you, but I don't know anybody who is. MIDI, we briefly opened this, but if you are a person like me who uses different pieces of gear all the time, you should make sure you are either selected or deselected what you used, because if you have something selected and you've mapped a bunch of things to your 72 and then you go hop on a S11, those buttons and pads have different numbers assigned to them. So you might hit something, and what it'll do, and Nick, you probably remember this, it'll like go into like the main effects window, which is something we didn't really talk to, and like turn on the brightness and bring the level down to 0. So now you're like, I don't have any video output. What the hell's going on? Well, it was because one of the mappings that you mapped on one mixer, when you went to the other mixer, did this. It changed it to 0 and put on the brightness thing. And if you didn't know that you had a master effects output, which you do, you would never know to look there, because I didn't even mention master effects because it's always on transitions for me. But you can, instead of doing individual, do master as well. And don't forget this right here. If this is down and, you know, or if it's up and you're on saturation or something, it's going to look weird. So, yeah, the Doc Rock, he hasn't done them in a while, but yeah. Um, Sorry, I was trying to keep up with the chat. Um, so these are for shift layers and other buttons if you wanted to map other buttons. This is something I haven't delved right into too much. And then obviously you can make mappings for different things. So if you wanted to do mappings for different mixers, you just have to remember to come in and load them. This is also those log MIDI messages is a good way to see if you're getting actual MIDI data. Sync beat to the MIDI clock is something I've never really messed with. Maybe Nick can tell us why, or why that might not be a bad thing to do, but it's not for me. And I think we're getting close to the end. So start thinking about your questions now, because we are getting there, man. I don't see much else. I think we covered anything. Um, Sabrina, it's so good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well down there in Texas. I'm actually hitting the end of the sports season here in Boston, so I'm planning on diving into streaming harder again because I will not be working 5 or 6 nights a week. Um, so thank you for the raid and thank you for stopping by. Um, 5 a.m. Jesus. Um, I'm sorry to keep you up, man. I think we've covered everything. So if there's no other questions, this is almost 4 hours that we've been at this. I mentioned before I am gonna save this VOD, and if the option is given to me, I'm gonna output it um, to my YouTube as well, so you can watch it here. You guys that followed, I'm gonna see real quick. I gotta check something real quick here. Um, oh, we're definitely going to see the homie. Um, we're gonna raid over. Oh, first of all, Nick, thank you for hanging out, dude. I appreciate you coming here. Hopefully, um, the hopefully some people get some good information, and people hopefully will see this. So if you know somebody who missed this, because this became a thing, because let me do this here real quick. Um, this became a thing because so many people missed the first one or asked like, "Where's the first one, dude? Like, I know you did one. Why isn't it up there anywhere?" Like, I've been looking for one of these. There's a couple of really good videos out there already. Like says somebody mentioned, Doc Optic did some really good stuff. Superfly did a couple of really good videos too. Um, and again, this is really to inspire you to use the software, most importantly, the best way you see fit. But it would be cool if everybody started dipping into the features and started pushing the envelope. Because as mentioned, some markets, there's no video DJing, and it has nothing to do with whether or not people like it or not. It's just that there's nobody there championing championing the skill, the craft, whatever you want to call it. So it's like, here there's me, my homie Stevie B always plays with me. Eloy still comes up here and plays. Pete Down is still doing video up here. 3/4 of my venues are still videos, so I'm always booking video DJs. And most of the guys, if not all the guys, are all sort of like, "Hey man, how do I do that thing?" And I'm like, "Here you go." So when I'm not there and they are, it's not like sleep fest. You know what I mean? They're doing some cool stuff. So if you've never looked at marketing this before to venues, hit me up. I can probably help you out with the tech side, because The next conversation I'm going to have is, how do I get into your video system? These sports bars that pull their tables up at 10 o'clock and turn into a nightclub, they are primed for this. The other thing is how do I get a little bit more money? Because you should. If you're doing video, you should be getting a little bit more money, because the pools are a little bit more expensive and you need a more expensive Mac. And these are all things that an owner doesn't want to hear. But I've certainly done like, oh, hey, listen, I'm going to stop doing video because it's getting too expensive. And, maybe we can work something out, because I can't afford to do this for the same rate as you're paying this other guy. And I've had a couple places be like, all right, what do you need? And I'll be like, give me another 50 or $100 a shift. And it's worked. You have to make yourself in a situation, and I've done this before, where, because I do the booking, I'll book a couple guys that I don't want to say aren't good, because that's not what I mean. I would never book somebody who's not good. I wouldn't sabotage my own venue. But I just know that they're not doing all the extras. They're not doing jam text. They're not doing all this other stuff. So when I come back, it's always kind of nice to know that, like, oh, good dude, thank God you're back because XYZ. And 90% of the X, Y, and Z is mixed emergency, or the elements that come with mixed emergency. So thank you guys so much. We're going to raid Audio 1. It is Boom Bap Mondays, so he's got 170 people in there. If you're not familiar with Audio 1 out of the Bay Area, he is royalty on Twitch, legend in the DJ game. Somebody you need to know, and most importantly, he is a straight up dude. He actually encountered a real rough patch, rougher than maybe most of us during the pandemic. He actually had a stroke on air, recovered, and he's finally back streaming. So go in there, pay it forward. If you followed me today, thank you. You now have access to the raid. What are these things called? Emotes. You get access to the raid emote. Yeah, this one right here. So when you get in there, throw those up. Yell raid if you've never done this before. You go in there, you make a lot of noise, you follow them, you chit chat with everybody, you connect. Awesome marketing situation. G-Spin on the way out, man. What's good, dude? You caught me right at the end, man. We are literally raiding out to Audio 1. Shit. Anywho, I appreciate the follow, man. Oh, Marv just followed too. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, I think that's about it. We're gonna raid over. Again, this will be here. So make sure you oh, Mav, thank you for the follow as well. Oh, okay. Now things are happening. Wonderland Events, thank you for the subscription. Oh, the Twitch Prime subscription. Okay. Nice. Gotcha. Yeah, I every time I go to click raid, something happens and I want to miss it. This will be here. It will stay here as long as it can stay here. I will export to YouTube. I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. That was 4 hours. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. Make sure, if you're interested, you follow the Mixed Emergency group on Facebook. We're all in there. Nick's in there too. And again, if you have problems, don't hesitate to either ask the Mixed Emergency community or use the help function in the software to get direct proper tech support. So we'll see you guys next time. This is probably 10 seconds. So that's weird. I never see it pop up over there before. Everybody have a good week. Celtics going to round 2. Peace.